What if this holiday season you could fill your gift list with handmade gifts, beautiful, heartfelt, and made with love? The holidays are all about giving, but it's not just about giving things. It's about giving your time, your creativity, and your heart. And when we make something by hand, it carries a little piece of us with it. Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to craft together for the holidays. Now, over the years, I've shared hundreds of projects with millions of makers just like you, and I have loved every minute of it. I adore the holidays. But I know how busy this season can feel. So today I've gathered some of my favorite giftable projects into one big Craft With Me marathon. So you can relax, get inspired, and maybe even make a few treasures right along with me. Now these are tried and true handmade gifts that never fail to bring a smile. And because I couldn't resist adding a few extra surprises, I've included 3 unreleased project videos for some of my most popular designs, and I think you're going to love them. Now, before we get started, I want to extend a personal invitation to you to join me at my annual free online holiday event known as Merry Maker Mingle. It's 25 days of beautiful projects, cozy inspiration, and creative community. It is my favorite way to count down to the holidays with you, one handmade moment at a time. I think it's like a virtual holiday countdown party with special gifts for you. And this year, we're doing it bigger and brighter than ever. And I'm starting the event earlier and adding in new ways to get in the holiday spirit. I would love for you to join me in the fun. You can get all of the details and get on the free gift list at merrymakermingle.com. It is free to join in the fun, and I hope to see you there. So make yourself something warm to sip. I've got some nice hot cocoa here. Settle in beside the fire with me and get cozy. Whether you're watching, listening, or crafting right along with me, let's celebrate the joy of giving, one handmade project at a time. Now we're going to begin by designing a family tree ornament. These are so cool. They are thoughtful handmade gifts that are just as fun to keep as they are to share. And you get to personalize them with whatever names you want. Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to make some really cute ornaments with your family's names or a favorite message. You may have seen keepsakes like these made with wood or other thick materials, but I will show you how to make them with metallic poster board or cardstock. I've had requests to make a cricut-friendly version of these cute family name tree ornaments, and I can see why. The detail is really important to the finished look, but finding the right typeface, materials, and assembly took some testing. In fact, I wound up creating an entirely new typeface just for this project, and ones like it. It's really important that you connect all of the letters and parts of your design so they can be easily cut as one piece. So my new typeface, called JM Block Caps, has consistent heights and line thicknesses, making it really easy to use a simple line to connect a word's top or bottom edge. Plus, you can adjust the letter spacing quite a bit, and the words are still really clear. It's totally free, and I'll show you where to get it before we get started today. And if you don't want to make the tree ornaments, I have other designs that you can customize using what you will learn today, like these cut decorations. The tools and materials are super simple. You can use quality poster board like this pretty metallic kind I used, or I'll also show you how to make versions with medium weight cardstock. These cuts will be detailed, so it's very important to use high quality paper like the ones I've listed in my materials list. They have longer fibers and really do cut better than others that I've tried. Now, a cutting machine like a Cricut is really helpful for these detailed designs. I'm going to use the Cricut Maker 3 in this video, but you can also use the original Cricut Maker, any Cricut Explorer series machine, the Cricut Venture, or even the Cricut Joy or Cricut Joy Extra for this project. Or you can use another machine that uses cut files. Along with your cutting machine, you'll need a green standard grip machine mat, a brayer, and a spatula for removing more delicate pieces. It's also handy to have a scraper and weeding tool to deal with all the little cutouts. Now, if you make the poster board version, I'll show you how to prepare the ornament with just a little ribbon and some scissors. For the cardstock style, you'll also need some good quality craft glue. I've got a full list of tools and supplies, plus links on where to find them all in my materials list. It's over at jennifermaker.com/565. And because everyone learns differently, you can also find written instructions with helpful photos and tips there too. Of course, if you have a laser cutting machine, this tutorial also helps you design these ornaments that you can cut out from wood, MDF, or acrylic on a laser cutter too. So, are you ready to get started? Let me show you how to get my free files and then we'll begin. Step 1. Get my free custom family name ornament design kit. First, download the design kit at jennifermaker.com/565. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 565 and click the link to download the designs. Now, if you're not sure how to download, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload files. In the download folder, there is a design kit SVG with elements that we'll use for the different ornament types. There's a horizontal line, a star hanger, several swirls, and 3 ornament frames that you can customize. There's also a folder with a brand new typeface that we made for you called JM Block Caps. Follow the steps in my tutorial at jennifermaker.com/upload-font to upload it before you start your designs. Now, I'll use a Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine in this video to cut the ornaments, but you can also use an original Cricut Maker, any Cricut Explorer series machine, the Cricut Venture, the original Cricut Joy or Cricut Joy Extra, or another machine that uses SVG or DXF cut files. Project number 1, Custom Family Name Ornament. Step 2, prepare your family names tree design. Let me show you how to design this ornament in Cricut Design Space. In Cricut Design Space, on a blank canvas, click Upload and then Upload Image. Click Browse and find the Design Kit SVG file. Click Upload and then select the new design under Recent Uploads and click Add to Canvas. Now, with the kit selected, click Ungroup and delete everything other than the star hanger and the horizontal line. Let's start from the top. Click the text icon and type the shortest name you want. I'll start with Greg. Then select the font menu at the top and click System. Find and select JM Block Caps. Setting the letters to 0.75 inches tall worked well for me, so I'll type that into the height field. This layer has the correct look and proportions, so click Duplicate to start your next line. Double-click the new text box and then type the next longest name in your family. I'm alternating between human and pet family names, so Chloe, our Border Collie rescue dog, is the next name. Drag the new name below the last with a little space in between. Duplicate the text box and type the longest name in the new one. The next longest name is my daughter Alexa. If you have 2 names about the same width, like Chloe and Alexa, we can adjust them later, don't worry. Continue duplicating the text box and adding your family names. I've added Hunter for our other dog, my name, and Butterscotch for our cute little cat. Duplicate the text to add the year as the tree's stump. Select everything you have in your design so far, and then click on a line at the top of the window and choose Center horizontally. You can use this step to check your layout at any time. It looks more like a tree, but the edges should be more gradual, a gradual taper, just like a real Christmas tree. So to fix this, we're going to select the lowest name that is too wide or too narrow. So here, my name is too narrow. The letter spacing tool helps adjust words' widths without changing the letter's proportions. So click the up arrow right next to it here. 1.5 looks good,
so Hunter can spread out some more. Keep going level by level using letter spacing to increase or decrease the space between the letters as needed until your outline looks more like a Christmas tree. We need to connect everything, so move the horizontal line below the top name. Zoom in and adjust the line's placement using the arrow keys on your keyboard so it overlaps the bottoms of all the top letters, just like this. If the line is too short next to the letters, open the size lock at the top of your screen and increase its height to 0.1. Now click the name next to it to check its width. With the lock icon open, change the horizontal line's width to match that of the lower name. Move the lower name up so it barely overlaps the line's bottom edge. Duplicate the line and move it to slightly overlap the second name's lower edge. Now move the next name up so the top slightly overlaps the line. Use the same steps to add more lines and position the rest of your names. Now before you move the year, duplicate the line above the longest name and move it to overlap the lowest letters. Then move the year up to slightly overlap the last line. Duplicate the line again and adjust its width and position to connect the numbers' bottoms. Select the small line at the top and adjust its width to match the top name. Then have it overlap the letters' tops. Adjust its width if needed. Recheck your alignment and it should look better now. Now move the star and hanger piece to slightly overlap the line's top edge. Make sure the names and year look evenly spaced vertically, the shape looks like a tree, and that everything is connected. Now, very important, click Combine and choose Unite to make everything one shape so it will cut together. Now, one layer works great for metallic poster board, but if you want to make a cardstock version as well, duplicate your design and change the copy's color. So we're going to duplicate the new ornament twice so we can layer them. Now make sure the correct machine is selected and click Make. On the Prepare screen, set the material size to match yours. I'm using 12 by 12 inch metallic poster board and cardstock. You can combine mats if you want. Then select the first mat and click Continue. On the Make screen, I want to cut the regular cardstock first, so I'll click the first green mat. Set the material to medium cardstock, 80 pound, with more pressure. This worked well for my machine, but they're all different, so definitely check out my Cricut tips and tricks for cleaner cuts at jennifermaker.com/blades if you have any troubles cutting this out. Now place your paper face up on a green standard grip machine mat and use your brayer to adhere it really well to your mat. This really helps in getting great cuts. Check that your fine point blade is clean and in the clamp. Now press the flashing load and unload button to load your mat into the Cricut, and then press the Go button to begin cutting. When the cut is complete, be sure to check your cuts before unloading your mat. To do this, gently peel up a corner to make sure the cuts went all the way through your cardstock. If they didn't, press that Go button again to make a second cut pass in the same pattern. Once the cuts look good, unload the mat and flip your mat over onto your work surface. Now gently roll the mat back away from the cardstock to release it without bending or ripping or tearing. I do recommend you use a spatula to help since some of the lines are very delicate. Now set your ornaments aside face up and then prepare and cut your other medium cardstock mats. Cutting the metallic poster board is very similar, but we'll use metallic poster board with more pressure as our material setting. So place your poster board face up on a green standard grip machine mat and use your brayer to really press it down onto the mat. Check that your fine point blade is clean and in the clamp, and then load and cut the mat just like the cardstock. And as before, gently check the cuts before unloading your mat. Be careful that you don't crease the surface of the poster board when you check your cuts. And when you flip your mat over onto your work surface and roll your mat back away from your poster board, Be sure to keep your poster board very flat to avoid accidentally creasing it. And if any cutouts get stuck to the ornament, you can use a weeding tool to gently poke them out from the back. Here are what my cut pieces look like. Step 3. Assemble your tree family ornament. Now let's start with the cardstock version. Place 2 copies of the ornament face up and 1 face down. Add small dots of glue to the back of 1 face down piece, avoiding the edges. Lightly place it on the face up layer and gently align the papers. Then press them in place. If any glue comes out the sides, just carefully wipe it away without shifting the layers, and then let them dry. Use the same method to put the 3rd layer on top and let it dry. Then just cut a piece of ribbon about 6 inches long, feed an end through the hanger loop, and tie it closed. And the poster board version is even easier because all you need to do is cut your ribbon and tie it through the hanger. Project number 2, round custom family name ornaments. With a design kit on your canvas in Cricut Design Space, click on Ungroup to ungroup the layers. Now let's add a name to one of the ornaments with an open band first. Use the eye icons in the Layers panel on the right to hide everything but the ornament frame with swirls. Now, just like the tree ornament, click Text and type the name that you want. I'm going to type Alexa as I'm going to make this ornament for her. Go into the font menu and find the JM Block Caps font again from earlier in our video, and then close the pop-up. Drag the name over the open band in the ornament and zoom in. With the size lock icon closed, click and drag a corner of the text bounding box until it fits in the band, just overlapping the upper and lower lines. If your name is longer than the open area at this height, like Jennifer, click the down arrow near letter spacing to decrease the space between each letter. If it's still too wide, unlock the size using the lock icon at the top of the menu and drag one of the corners in until the name fits. The name should fit in the band and touch the upper and lower lines. Be careful not to make the letters touch each other though. Now select the ornament and frame and then use the Align menu and click Center horizontally. Click Combine underneath the Layers panel and choose Unite, and make sure everything is connected. I'll cut this in metallic poster board, so I don't need to duplicate anything. You can combine techniques from both designs to make an ornament with 3 lines of text like Merry Christmas and the year. Use the eye icons to reveal the blank ornament and horizontal line. Add your text and resize it to mostly fit in the blank ornament. Then adjust the letter spacing as needed. Connect the words with the horizontal lines and make sure they touch the frame's inner edges. Add small lines to the top and bottom for added stability, and you are done. Just center horizontally, unite, and change the color so it cuts on another mat, and make 2 duplicates to layer. Make sure the correct machine is selected, and then click Make. You can follow the same cutting and assembly directions for my tree ornament in project number 1 to finish up. Aren't these so cute?
And there you go. You can absolutely make these popular family name ornaments with a cutting machine and paper. Just take your time setting up the design, make sure your materials cut nicely, and you'll have custom keepsakes in no time. Another beautiful keepsake is this personalized snowflake ornament. Anyone who receives this will treasure it year after year. I always say when you add a name, you add a story. It is such a simple way to make someone feel truly seen. This one just says family, but you can put whatever name, whatever word you want on there. This one, it says maker. These are so much fun to make. Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to make adorable snowflake designs with a name or your favorite word. You can make lots of items with these designs, but they make adorable tree ornaments, in my opinion. If you've always wanted to make your own but don't know where to start, I've got you covered. In this video, I'll show you how to use Cricut Design Space to make a custom name snowflake. Plus, I'll show you how to cut the finished result with your cutting machine to make an ornament sturdy enough for display. Now, the tools and materials to make a named snowflake are simple yet important. You can use quality poster board like this pretty metallic kind, or I'll show you how to make versions with medium weight cardstock. You'll need some good quality craft glue, like my favorite Bearly Art. You can also combine cardstock layers for a layered look. And of course, we need a cutting machine because these snowflakes are very intricate and it would take a lot of skill to cut perfectly by hand. I'll be using the Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine in this video, but you can also use the original Cricut Maker, a Cricut Explorer series machine, the Cricut Venture, or the Cricut Joy Extra for this project. Or you can use another machine that uses cut files. They're a little detailed to shrink for the Joy's dimensions, but some of my tips on line thickness and details can help you if you want to design your own to fit, so it is possible to cut on the Joy. Along with your cutting machine, you'll need a green standard grip machine mat, a brayer, and a spatula for removing the more delicate pieces. It's also handy to have a scraper and a weeding tool to deal with all the little cutouts that you'll get. Remember, these designs will be intricate, so make sure your materials are high quality. Your mat is sticky, your blade is clean, and you are ready to patiently remove cuts to avoid tearing. I've included a free pre-made snowflakes that aren't quite as delicate, so practicing with those is a good idea. And if you're making ornaments, you'll want to have some pretty ribbon and scissors handy as well. Now I've got a full list of the tools and supplies, plus links on where to find them in my materials list. It's over in my blog post at jennifermaker.com/566. So, are you ready to get started? Let me show you how to get my free files and then we will make snowflakes together.
Step 1, get my free personalized snowflake ornament design kit. First, download the Snowflake Design Kit at jennifermaker.com/566. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the Library. Search the page for design number 566 and click the link to download the designs. Now, if you're not sure how to do this, visit jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to download and unzip files. In the download folder, there is a design kit SVG with elements that you can use to connect characters in your snowflakes. If you want to make a custom snowflake, the typeface you use is important. I'm going to show you how to design 2 examples, one using a font called Andalusia, and another using a font called Boeotia Script, which is a free option. After downloading your font choice, follow the steps at jennifermaker.com/upload-font to add it before you start your designs. I'll use a Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine to cut my ornaments. You can also use an original Maker, a Cricut Explorer series machine, the Cricut Venture, or the Joy Extra, or another machine that uses cut files, including something like a laser cutting machine. Step 2, prepare your custom family name snowflake ornament. In Cricut Design Space on a blank canvas, click Upload and then Upload Image. Click Browse and find the Design Kit SVG file. Click Upload and then select the new design under Recent Uploads and click Add to Canvas. Click Text and type your name. Let's use Jennifer because we can address some challenges along the way. A typeface with connected letters, like a script font, with relatively thick, consistent lines will make this project so much easier. So, select the font menu, and I'll use the font called Andalusia. So look for it under System. And then with the lock icon at the top of the screen closed, adjust the name's size. Letters about 0.9 inches tall worked well for me, but it does depend on the name. Now this will be the first arm of the snowflake, but we need to connect more of the letters to save work later, like the J, F, and E spaces. That's when glyphs are really helpful. In addition to swashes, some typefaces have alternate forms of letters that you can swap in, and they're known as glyphs. Now I'm recording this on a Mac, but for the Windows directions, see my full tutorial on using fonts and glyphs in Design Space at jennifermaker.com/cricut font finder. All right, so to find glyphs on a Mac, click on the magnifying glass icon and find Font Book. Open it and then find your font. Click on the View menu and make sure Repertoire is selected. Now you can see all of the characters. Let's try another type of capital J, like this one with a detail at the bottom. Select it, click Copy, and then go back to Cricut Design Space. Double-click the text that you already typed out, highlight the letter you want to replace, and then press Command+V on your keyboard to paste in the new design. That gives us more area to work with. Keep going, playing with different glyphs until you have a version that you like. I changed the F and R to versions with flourishes, so they'll be easier to connect in my Snowflake. Now there's still space between some letters, so select the name and click Advanced, then Ungroup to Letters to adjust them independently. I'll click the J and move it over to touch the first E, then select the second E and R and then move them together to touch the F. Almost. Now for the dot on the I. Select the design so far and click Combine and then choose Weld. Now click Contour and select the dot to remove it from the design. We don't want that there because it would just be out there floating in space. Now click the Shapes menu and add a circle, and then resize it to about the original dot's dimensions. Drag that little circle to touch the top of the eye, and now everything is connected. Select it all and click Combine, and then choose Weld again. We'll add the other arms going clockwise roughly around the snowflake center point. So select the arm and then click Duplicate. Now let's rotate the arm. So in the Rotate field at the top of the window, type 60 to adjust the copy to 60 degrees. Now move the rotated text so its lower right edge slightly overlaps with the top right edge of the original arm. It might take some careful positioning, so just take your time. Now duplicate the original word and type 120 in the Rotate field for the next arm. Move this word so it touches the furthest right spot on the previous arm. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect yet. We might adjust them later, but select both of the rotated arms and then click Align and align top so they're even. Now duplicate the original word again and rotate the fourth arm to 180. Make its top left section slightly overlap the lowest right spot on the previous arm. Select both of the horizontal arms and then click Align and center vertically. Duplicate the original arm again and rotate the copy to 240 this time. Position it to slightly overlap with the previous arm's last letter. Now duplicate the original arm one last time and rotate that copy to 300 degrees. Move this arm to touch the last letter of the previous arm and the original. Select this word and the previous one, then click Align and align bottom. Now zoom into the middle and make sure that all of the letters are connected. This is very important. And to make it sturdier, use some of the swirl elements to fill in the space in the open V-shaped spaces at the top. Resize, rotate, and flip the elements as needed until all of the characters are connected more. The more connections, the more sturdy this will be. And then hold Shift and select all of the elements in the space. Now click Group over on the right side to keep them together, and then duplicate them once more. Now we're going to use the same rotate, duplicate, and position process to fill in the other V spaces going clockwise around the snowflake. So for the second V, rotate the copy that you made to 60 and drag it into place. You might have to slightly adjust the filler elements to touch the words in each V shape. Just select the element in the Layers panel to move one independently of the others before moving to the next gap. Keep going. Remember that the magic rotation numbers increase by 60 each time. So the first one was 60, right? And then it's 120, then 180, then 240, and finally 300 for the last arm. If you want to make the design into an ornament, click the text icon and then type the letter O. Change the font to Cricut Sans, and it's a nearly perfect loop. Drag the O so it touches the ornament where you want the hanger, and resize it if needed. Select all of the ornament's layers and then click Combine and select Weld. There might be some tiny cutouts that you don't want, so select Contour and scroll down to turn them off by clicking on each one. This design will work as a single layer in a metallic poster board, but if you want to make another using medium cardstock, click Duplicate so you have two versions, two copies. Now change the copy's color so it will go on another mat, and then duplicate it twice to make 3 layers of cardstock. Text-only snowflake ornament with a background. There are some more design tips to try, especially if you don't want to add filler elements. I'll show you how to use my daughter Alexa's name in Boeotia script at size 72. So adjust the spacing or use glyphs to attach characters if you need to, but this will work really well. If the bottoms of the letters slant like this, click the rotate field and tap your up arrow until most of the letters are pretty straight, so they'll be easier to connect. These lines are pretty thin, so click Offset and set it to 0.03 to thicken them a little bit, and then click Apply. Select the original and the offset layer, then click Combine and Weld. Now duplicate the text once and select the copy, then click Flip and then select Flip Vertical. Move the copy so it just barely overlaps with the bottom of the original. Select both, then click Align and align left. If the edges don't overlap, try repositioning or rotating them until they do. Now select them both and then click Combine and Weld. Then use the same duplication and rotation steps from the earlier ornament to create and position the snowflake's arms. Remember, increase the rotation number by 60 each time you do it. Make sure all the letters are connected, then select the entire design and click Combine and Unite. To add a background for support, duplicate the design and then select the copy and then click Offset. I like the offset distance at 0.25 with round corners, and then click Apply. Select the offset and click Contour. Click any small cutouts to make the background mostly or entirely solid, depending on your name and preference. Now add a hanger to the offset layer and you are done. When your designs are ready, make sure the correct machine is selected and click Make. On the Prepare screen, set the material size to match your paper and then click Continue. On the Make screen, I want to cut the regular cardstock first, so I'll click the top cardstock mat. Now set the material to medium cardstock, 80 pound, with more pressure. This worked for my machine, but they're all a little different. So see my Cricut tips and tricks for cleaner cuts over at jennifermaker.com/blades if you have any troubles getting a clean cut. Now place your paper face up on a green standard grip machine mat and brayer it down. Check that your fine point blade is clean and in the clamp. Press the flashing load and unload button to load the mat, and then press the flashing go button to begin cutting. When the cut is complete, very gently peel up a corner to make sure the cuts went all the way through. If they didn't go all the way through, press that go button again to make a second cut pass. Once the cuts look good, unload your mat and flip your mat over onto your work surface. Very gently roll back the mat to release the cardstock. I highly recommend using a spatula to help since your snowflake will probably be very delicate. Now set the snowflake aside face up and then prepare and cut your other cardstock mats. Set the metallic poster board mat to metallic poster board with more pressure. Prepare, load, and cut your poster board the same way. Gently check the cuts before unloading. Be careful not to crease the surfaces. And when you flip the mat over, roll that mat back while keeping the poster board very flat to avoid any creases. If any cutouts stuck to the ornament, just use your weeding tool to gently poke them out. Here are what my cut pieces look like. Step 3. Assemble your name snowflake ornament. Let's start with the cardstock version. Place 2 copies of the ornament face up and 1 face down. Add small dots of glue to the back of 1 face down piece. Lightly place it on the face up layer and gently align the layers. Then press them in place and wipe away any extra glue. Glue the last layer on top and let it dry. Then just cut a piece of ribbon or twine about 6 inches long, feed an end through the hanger loop, and tie it closed. For the offset version, put small dots of glue on the back of the names. Then center it on the offset and press it in place. And then add some ribbon. And the poster board version is even easier. Just cut your ribbon and tie it through the hanger. Step 4. Show it off. Here's what my finished ornaments look like. Aren't they awesome?
And we did it! With some quality paper and some patience, you can make these intricate ornaments. Just take your time, especially when you're making the design. If you make sure everything is connected well, they'll cut and come off the mat easier than a rushed design will. Be careful when you're gluing the delicate layers together too, and that will give you a gorgeous personalized snowflake ornament for your tree or to give to others. Of course, every gift needs a tag, and these fill-in letter tags make your packages stand out while showing you care. A handmade tag turns any gift into something extra special. It says, "I made this just for you," before they even open it. And what's really special about these tags is I'm teaching you how to fill in your letters on your Cricut, which is not something you can just automatically do. So this is really cool and magical. Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to learn how to fill in your letters on your Cricut. I love using my Cricut for writing and drawing words and designs, but there's a catch. It doesn't easily fill them in. It makes sense once you look at how the machine works, but is there a way to make it work? Yes, there is. And today I'm going to show you how to use a special file that I've created just for you to fill in letters, whether you're drawing, foiling, or even engraving. So let's head on over to the craft table and I'll show you everything. I get a lot of questions about how to make a Cricut fill in spaces and why it's not an automatic option. I have a way, but first let's look at how the machine works to understand why I suggest you use my method. All right, so basically, the Cricut cutting machine follows the lines of your design with whichever tool is in the correct clamp. For vinyl or cardstock projects that you're cutting or scoring, that's exactly what you want. It can follow really intricate, complex designs this way. So why can't it just fill in the rest like we do by hand? It's a great question. Well, if you watch a running Cricut machine closely, you'll notice that the tool moves side to side along the silver roller bar, while the gray rubber rollers on each side move the mat and attached material up and down, or back and forth, right? So it really uses up and down and side to side motions to create everything, even circles. But the machine can independently create lines to follow. And even if it did, it would take a long time because it would probably overlap many times to completely fill everything. That might be okay with some materials, but many markers would oversaturate the paper, or a foiling sheet might even tear if it tried to do that. So maybe there's a way to add straight lines to fill a space? Yes, I've used them in the past for cross-hatching projects where I ran horizontal and vertical lines in the same area. It does fill, but it takes a while and still has lots of overlapping. That's great for some projects, but I wanted to share another option today. This time I'm using a single set of diagonal lines, which have worked really well in my tests. I'll show you how to use the lines with my example designs for drawing or foiling tags and engraving a nightlight like these. Doesn't they look amazing? The key is adjusting the lines to be closer or further apart depending on your tool. We do have to prepare the files a bit differently for each method, and we'll explain exactly how to do that in this video. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It does take some time to set up properly in Cricut Design Space or whatever software you're using. This is more of a technique than a step-by-step tutorial. If you want to make a different project than the ones in my free download that I'm sharing, you'll want to follow along with the technique that I'm teaching you. I recommend taking some time to experiment on scrap materials, especially if you're using different designs than my free ones, or thicker or thinner pens or markers for a drawing. For this project, we used the 8mm Cricut glitter gel pens, and the brown creates a really cool metallic look, as you can see here. Now, if you're using the Cricut Joy, you'll want to be sure to get compatible pens. The pens work on most cardstocks. I'm using my standard 65-pound high-quality solid core paper, and I'm using a green standard grip mat and some jute twine for the tags. For the foiling project, I'll use the same cardstock and my foil transfer kit for the Cricut right here. Again, make sure you get the one for the Cricut Joy if that's what you have. I use the medium tip, the one with 2 lines. It looks like this one right here. And then the bold tip with 3 lines for outlines. Results vary though, so test them out. You can use any color of the foil transfer sheets that you like. Just remember to use the special tape that's in the package. Now, the green machine mat works well for this too. And a scraper can help lift up the cardstock since the foiling can press it down a bit. For the fill and engraving, you'll need a Cricut Maker with the engraving tool, and of course an acrylic disc like this one here that is thinner than 2mm. It's very important. I'm using a round one that's 4 inches in diameter. We'll secure the disc to a purple strong grip mat with painter's tape, just like this, and we'll clean it off with a soft cloth like this before we put it into our light up base like this. And if you're foiling or engraving, the projects will take a while to complete, so don't let your computer or cutting machine lose their connection. Make sure it's plugged in and using the USB cord for the best idea rather than relying on Bluetooth, right? And remember to turn off any energy saving settings or screensavers too. All right, so let me show you where to get these free designs to learn how to do this technique on, and then we will learn how to make a Cricut fill-in letters.
Get my free design and filling files. You can use the techniques in this video for anything you want to fill in with the special filling files I've made. I've also created some practice projects with free design files to help you learn how this all works. To get the files for the different projects, go to jennifermaker.com/454 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for number 454 and then click it to download the zip file. If you're not sure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload files. Inside the zip file, you'll find a piece design, which we'll use for foiling and drawing projects, a silent night design, which we'll use to make an engraved acrylic nightlight, a file with special lines that we can use to control the tools, and additional tags and designs you can experiment with. Upload the SVG design of your choice and the lined SVG to Cricut Design Space and add them to your canvas. I'll start with the piece design for foiling. Project 1, the foiled gift tag. Step 1, prepare your filled foil design. Here is how my piece design and the lines file look on my canvas. You can zoom in to see more detail by clicking on the plus sign on the lower left. The line design is what we'll use to control the foil tool. We have to adjust it first, however. Select the lined object and use the operation menu to change it to foil medium. Use the color box at the top to change the color to the one that you're going to use. I'll change mine to silver. Keeping the lock icon at the top closed, enlarge the line's design to be 6 inches tall, or about twice its original size if you're using a different design. Then click Combine and select Weld. When you zoom in, you can see lots of lines close together. That's how the foil lines will fill the space. The tool will follow each one of those lines to fill everything in. Select the piece design and ungroup it. Then hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and select the layers that you want to fill with foil. So that means the group letters and the branch. Click Combine and then select Weld. Note their original dimensions together so we can put them back to normal. Mine are 2.5 inches wide. Enlarge the design to be about 125% as large, and that would be about 2 3/4 inches tall. You can use the percentage when experimenting with your own designs. Drag the lines so the piece design and the branch are within the shape. Hold the Shift key on your keyboard to select both, but not the tag shape, and then click Slice. You'll see several new layers titled Slice Results on the right. Let me pull each of these layers apart so you can see what they look like. Note that you can see the layer type in the operation menu as you select each one. This one here with the foil medium type and the design is the only layer we need, so delete the others. Resize the design back down to its original size, which was 2.5 inches wide, and drag it back into position on a tag if it moved at all. Then drag a bounding box over the layers and click Attach. You're now ready to foil. Step 2, foil your design. Make sure you have the right machine selected and click Make It. If you're prompted, click On Mat, 12 by 12 inches, and then click Confirm. On the Prepare screen, make sure your design looks correct. If not, just go back and try again. Centering your foil design on the mat screen will make it easier to work with the foil sheet, so drag it to the middle. Line it up at a spot where the mat lines cross to help you place the foil correctly. And then click Continue. I chose light cardstock with default pressure for my material settings. Make sure your blue light grip mat is clean to get the best foil transfer. Then place the cardstock face up on the machine mat and use the brayer to really secure it well. You can trim the foil sheet to size if you like, just make sure it will totally cover the foil design. Don't let the foil stick to the mat because it will ruin your mat if you do that. Place the foil sheet shiny side up over the design area as indicated on the screen. The dull side without color goes against the cardstock. This is important. Adhere one edge in place using the included tape that came with your foil sheets. Don't place the tape over the design lines as it will interfere with the tool tip. Make sure there are no creases and the design is still totally covered. Smooth the foil, but don't pull it taut or too tight, and then tape down the opposite edge. And add tape to the other edges too. If you need to reposition the tape, it's easy. Just gently pull it up and try again. The tape is reusable too. Follow the screen prompts to put your medium tip into the foil tool housing. Remember, the medium tip has 2 lines on it. You'll want to put that housing into clamp B. Load your mat and press the flashing button to start the foiling. This small design will take several minutes. Remember, don't let the connection be lost while it's foiling. When the foiling is done, don't remove the mat yet. Just carefully remove the tape and the foil. Then swap in your fine point blade and the housing and clamp B and follow the on-screen prompts to make the final cut. Then unload the mat and flip it over onto your work surface and peel it back to release the cardstock. The scraper can gently lift the card. To finish the tag, cut some jute string and tie it in a loop through the hole. Project 2, a drawn gift tag. Step 1, prepare your filled drawing design. We'll use the same files for drawing the tag so you can see how they'll look different on the screen. Select the piece design and ungroup it. Then hold Shift and select the layers that you want to draw. In this case, that's the group letters and the branch. Click Combine and choose Weld to put them all on one layer. Change the layers color to orange to help differentiate between the pieces in the next part. Again, note the original dimensions so you can put it back to normal after the adjustments. Mine is 2.5 inches wide. With the lock icon closed, I changed the height to 5 inches. If you're using a different design than I am, make it twice the original size. If it's any smaller, the lines won't be close enough together to really fill in the space. Then select the lined object. Click Combine and then select Weld. Then change the color to red if you want to see the lines. The change is more apparent if you zoom in a bit. With the lock icon closed, enlarge the lined object so it covers the entire design. I made mine 9 inches tall to fit, but if you're using a different design, enlarge it to at least twice its original size, even if the design fits at a smaller dimension. Again, this is important for line spacing. And don't rotate the designs to fit, as that will mess up the finished look. With the lined object still selected on your canvas, change the operation to pen and use the color box to select a 0.8 millimeter glitter gel pen. I'll use brown. Drag the lines so the piece design and the branch are within the shape. Make sure it still fits within the lined shape. If not, enlarge the lined file just enough that it does. Hold the Shift key to select both layers, but not the cut tag shape, and then click Slice. You'll see 4 layers called Slice Result at the top of the Layers panel. They might not be in the same order, but they are as follows. A basic cut layer with just lines filling the letter shapes. We don't want this one, so delete it. An orange basic cut layer with lines filling the shapes and a full outline. This is the one we want to keep, so don't delete it. A brown pen layer with the lines filling the shapes and a full outline. We don't want this one either, delete it. And a remaining brown pen line shape with a design cut out of it. Delete this one too. Resize the design back to the original dimensions. Mine was 2.5 inches wide. Drag it back into position on the tag if needed. Now drag a bounding box over both layers and click Attach. Your design is ready to draw. Step 2, draw the design. Make sure you have the right machine selected and click Make It. If you're prompted, click On Mat 12 by 12 and click Confirm. On the Prepare screen, make sure your design looks correct. If not, go back and try again. You can drag it to the center of your mat again, but it's not necessary. And then click Continue. I chose light cardstock with a default pressure. Place your pen in clamp A and the fine point blade in clamp B. Put the cap on the pen so you don't lose it. Place the cardstock face up on a blue light grip machine mat and use the brayer to really secure the cardstock to the mat. Now load your mat into your machine. You should know that the pens can smudge when they're still wet, so move any white star wheels that will go over the drawing design. Now press the flashing button to have the Cricut draw and then cut your design. This will take a few minutes, but it's a lot easier than filling them in by hand. Let it completely dry before removing the cardstock from the mat. And then flip it over and peel it back to release the cardstock. Now cut a length of the spiral jute string in festive colors and tie a loop through the tag's hole. Project 3, an engraved acrylic nightlight. Step 1, prepare the engraving design files. Here's how the silent night design looks on my canvas with the same lined file that we've been using. The larger you make the design prior to welding, the closer together the lines will be. And this is what we want for engraving. Select the lines file and use the color box to change it to red. Keeping the lock icon closed, enlarge the line's design to be 6 inches tall, about twice its original size. Then click Combine and choose Weld. For the design, I'm going to fill the letters but just outline the other shapes. Select the design and click the Ungroup icon. Click the Layer with Letters in the Layers panel. Then click Combine and choose Weld. They'll jump to the top of the layers list in a single layer. Take note of the original dimensions so we can return to them at the end of this adjustment process. Mine is about 1.5 inches wide. I'll use the color box to make these layers orange to help keep everything straight. Then hold down the Shift key to select the remaining star and branch layers. Use the Operation menu to change them to Engraving. And now those are all set. Drag the welded words over the top of the object with lines. We want to get the lines filling the letters, but if we tried at the current dimensions, they would be too far apart to really fill the spaces during engraving. So here's the trick. Keeping the lock icon closed, enlarge the words to be 3.4 inches tall, or about 225% of its original size if you're using another design. Make sure it still fits within the lined shape. If not, enlarge the lined file just enough that it does. Select the design and lined shape and then click Slice. You'll see 4 layers called Slice Result at the top of the Layers panel. They might not be in the same order as mine, but they should be a gray layer with just lines filling the letter shapes, an orange layer with lines filling the shapes and a full outline, a red layer with lines filling the shapes and a full outline, and a remaining red line shape with a design cut out of it. The orange layer with lines filling the shapes and a full outline is the one we want. Zoom in to see the details if you need help telling the difference, and then delete the others. With the remaining design selected, change the operation to Engraving. The color disappeared, but that's what we want. See how far apart the lines are? If we engraved it at this size, they wouldn't fill the letter. So resize the design back to the original dimensions, which was 1.5 inches wide for mine, and you can see that the lines are much closer together now. This will make the engraved lines a lot more dense, which is what we want. Drag the adjusted design back into position with the stars and branches. Then drag a bounding box to select the entire design and click Attach. You're now ready to engrave. Step 2. Engrave the design. Make sure your acrylic disc is no more than 2 millimeters thick, otherwise it might not fit under your cutting machine's rollers. If your acrylic disc has a protective film on it, remove it from the side. That will not touch the mat. Next, center the disc on a purple strong grip mat with the unprotected side up. Use the cross in the center of the mat as a guide to get it exactly centered. Then tape around the disc's edges using painter's tape to keep it still during engraving. Tape just the edges so you won't cover any areas that will be engraved. This is very important. Back in Cricut Design Space, make sure you have the right machine selected, which should be either a Maker or a Maker 3 for engraving, and then click Make It. If you're prompted, click on Mat 12 by 12 inches and confirm. On the Prepare screen, make sure your design looks correct. If it doesn't, go back and try again. Center the image on the mat, making sure it matches your disc's placement. This way, the Cricut will engrave on the disc and not on the mat. And then click Continue. For the material, search for acrylic and select thick acrylic 2 millimeters and then click Done. Change the pressure to More and put your engraving tool in clamp B and move the 4 star wheels all the way to the right. Load your mat and press the flashing button to start the engraving process. Now, since engraving is a more involved process than the usual cutting, check the progress often. This small design can take up to an hour. When your machine has finished engraving, unload the mat and use a soft cloth to brush the debris off. Rubbing alcohol will help if it's really stubborn. To remove debris from your machine, use a soft cloth or a small vacuum attachment. Remove the disc from the mat and carefully peel off the painter's tape. Brush off any more debris and remove the protective film from the other side of the disc if it's still in place. And then to finish, make sure your LED base has fresh batteries and then place the disc in the slot on top. You can have the engraved side face the wall or face out. Turn it on and enjoy your work.
So, what do you think? I really like this approach, and it definitely saves me from filling in designs by hand or having to combine different tools like adding metallic markers to a foiled project. And remember how I mentioned that the line spacing matters? It really, really does. Here are some of my tests while trying to figure out all the different tools. So remember, save time for experimenting with enlarging the elements in different ratios. You might find a pairing that you like even more than my suggestions. This is definitely a project to take notes on so you can keep everything straight. And what's a gift tag without a bow? Let's tie everything together, literally, with bows that look store-bought but are handmade. Little details like this remind us that beauty doesn't come from perfection. It comes from care and intention. I'm showing you how to make a bunch of different bows. This is just one, but they are really, really a lot easier to make than you might think. Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to learn how to make gorgeous bows using ribbon or paper. I have some great tips and techniques to help you really up your gift and decor skills this season. So let's head on over to the craft table and we'll get started. I love making bows because they add so much interest to any project and you can customize them in so many ways. I'm going to show you 7 beautiful bows to make with ribbon. They're all really, really easy and will look perfect on your gifts or decorations. I used a variety of ribbon, material, widths, and colors, but the ones with wire in the edges really work best. You can try them with the ribbons in the material list and definitely experiment to find your favorites. All you need for them is a hot glue gun and a way to tie your ribbons such as zip ties, twisty ties, or even pipe cleaners. You'll also want a pair of scissors, and I recommend a ruler if you want to be detailed, but honestly, I mostly guessed at my ribbon lengths. I can't wait to show them to you. And while I love working with ribbon, I knew we could also make a beautiful paper bow to easily cut on a Cricut cutting machine. I am thrilled with the result and I hope you love it too. I'm sharing 2 versions with you, one that you can scale up or down to make different sizes based on your own needs. The most important part of the project is using high quality solid core cardstock that has the same color on both sides. If there's something on the back, make sure that you like it since it will probably peek out of your bow. The cardstock is really the star of the show here, so this is a great opportunity to use some of your special stash that you've been saving. I used my favorite 12 by 12 65-pound cardstock for most of the layers, but I added some white glitter cardstock for sparkle. I used a detailed design for the glitter, so stick around to see which cut setting I had the best results with. The bows cut nicely on any Cricut cutting machine, even a Joy if you use the scalable version, like this one, and then make it small. You'll need the fine point blade, a green standard grip machine mat, and a brayer to stick the paper down well. A spatula and a scraper will also help with some of the delicate pieces. When you put everything together, you can use either craft glue or you can just use these little brads, and I'll show you how to use both here. Now, if you want to add a bit more detail, we can do that with a bone folder or a scraper. Now, let's make the perfect bow.
Here are some of my favorite styles of bows. I'll tell you about how much ribbon I used for each one, but do experiment to make yours bigger or smaller. To make a 6-inch bow using 2-inch wire edge ribbon, cut one piece about 30 inches and another about 2 3/4 inches long. Overlap the ends of the long piece to make a loop in the middle. The loop should be smaller than the loose ends hanging down. Push the top center of the loop down to meet where the ribbon crosses itself. Pinch the loop and crossed ribbons together and secure them with a zip tie or twisty tie. Remember to trim the ends. Fold the long edges of the small piece in toward the middle, roughly in thirds, and secure it with hot glue. Wrap the rectangle, unglued side out, around the center of the bow and glue the ends together. Match up the ends of the loose ribbons and trim them to the same length and end shape. Fluff the bow and add it to a gift. To make a bow about 9 inches wide using 2.5-inch wire-edged ribbon, start with a piece of ribbon 56 inches long. Starting at one end, fold the ribbon back and forth on itself to form 3 equal length layers. The final layer will have a loose end. Hold all the layers in the middle and rotate the top loose layer so that it forms a loop in the middle. Pinch the layers together under the loop and secure a zip tie or a twisty tie through the loop and around the rest. Now fluff the bow layers out to the sides. Cut the end short on the back of the bow. Match up the loose ends and trim them to the same length and shape. The bow is now ready to use. To make a bow about 8 inches wide using 2.5-inch wire-edged ribbon, cut one piece of ribbon about 36 inches, one piece about 18 inches, and one about 2 3/4 inches. Form the longest piece of ribbon into a figure 8, with the ends slightly overlapping in the middle, like this. Hot glue them in place. Bring the center of each loop to the middle and pinch them together. Secure the layers with a zip tie or twisty tie and trim it in the back. Now fluff the ribbon loops. Fold the long edges of the smallest piece in toward the middle, roughly in thirds, and secure it with hot glue. Use the last piece to create the loose ribbon ends. Place the ribbon loop's middle in the center of the long piece. Wrap the rectangle, unglued side out, around the bow's center and glue the ends together. Match up the loose ribbon ends and trim them to the same length and end shape. Your bow is now ready to use. To make a 7-inch wide bow using 2.5-inch wire-edged ribbon, cut one piece of ribbon about 60 inches long. Go longer if you want a really full bow. Wrap the ribbon around your hand like you're rolling it back into the tube that it came on to form a layered loop, like this. Now flatten the circle. Unwind just enough ribbon to make a piece about the same length as the compressed circle and cut it off. Now set it aside. Cut the corners on each side of the circle to form wedges. Open the circle back up, match up the cut wedge shapes, and pinch them together. Now the sides are intact and the middle is skinny. Layer the small piece of ribbon from earlier on top of the pinched area and secure everything with a zip tie or twisty tie. Then trim the extra. Pull out the loops from inside each side of the bow and fluff to form the pom-pom. Enjoy your bow! To make an 8.5-inch wide bow using 2.5-inch wire-edged ribbon, cut 3 18-inch pieces, a 9-inch piece, and one about 4 inches. Hot glue the end of the 3 matching pieces to make 3 loops. Glue the small piece into a smaller loop, just like this. Flatten the larger loops and stack them on top of each other, glue side down. Place the small loop on top in the middle. Slide a zip tie or twisty tie through the top loop and around the stack and trim the extra after pulling it tight. Match up the loose ribbon ends and trim them to the same length and end shape. Fluff your bow and enjoy! Gather as many scrap pieces of ribbon together as you like to make this bow. They can be all different colors, ribbon types, and widths. Have fun, go crazy. Choose one thinner piece of ribbon to be the center tie and lay it down straight. Stack all of the other pieces of ribbon on top crosswise. Tie a knot with a single piece of ribbon to hold all the pieces together in the middle. And then just fluff up your bow and enjoy it. To make a 10-inch wide bow, cut several pieces of ribbon about 24 inches long. You can use all the same ribbon or use different widths, styles, and colors to add interest. The more ribbons you add, the fuller your final bow will be. Make a loop with some loose ribbon hanging down. Pinch the ribbon in the middle to hold the loop in place. Make loops in each of the ribbons, pinching them and adding them to the others. Secure a zip tie or twisty tie around the bottoms of the loops and trim the extra tie. Fluff out the ribbon loops to hide the zip tie. Trim the ribbon ends, attach it to the top of your tree, and enjoy. Step 1. Get my free paper bow files. Go to jennifermaker.com/439 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for number 439 and then click it to download the zip file. The folder includes one version with most of the pieces stacked that creates a perfect 6-inch bow. If you'd like to make a bigger bow, use the file with scale in the title. You can cut these bows by hand with the PDF patterns in my file, but I'm going to show you how to cut them faster and more precisely with a cutting machine. Today I'm using a Cricut Maker 3, but you can also use an Explorer. And at the original size, you can also cut this one on a Cricut Joy. Upload the SVG cut file you want to your design software. If you're not sure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload files. Step 2. Prepare your bow designs. Here is how the connected base bow file looks on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. It consists of 3 base pieces, including one with detailed cutouts, a top knot piece, and 2 ribbon end pieces. Each base piece has arms coming out from the center that easily fold in to create the curving ribbon effect. The connected base file is ready to cut. You could make it smaller, but any bigger and it won't fit on a machine mat. For bigger bows, the scalable version is perfect. The knot and ribbon end pieces are the same, but the arms are cut separately from each other. Assembled, the bow will be about half the size of the largest arm, not counting the ribbon ends. So that's how you change the dimensions to create a specific sized bow. We'll use a guide to help get it right without changing the piece's proportions. To do this, add a square from the Shape menu under the Free section. Now to make a 5-inch bow, we'll need the largest arm to be about 10 inches tall. So make your square the same height as you would like to make the largest arm by changing the height at the top of the canvas. When choosing a size, keep in mind that the arm must be small enough to fit on the machine mat, so no larger than 11.5 inches. I'm going to make my square 10 inches tall. Now, with the square selected on your canvas, choose Guide from the Operation menu. The square will turn pink and it will show on the canvas, but it will not cut out. It's just there for your reference. Make sure all the pieces of the bow are selected and still grouped. Then click and drag a corner of the bounding box out to resize the design. Keep going until the largest arm piece is the height of your guide. It is now ready to cut. If you're making more than one bow at a time and would like to have them cut with different colors on different mats, select the design and click Ungroup above the Layers panel. Now select each of the matching pieces that need to be changed to a new color. You can select more than one piece at a time by holding the Shift key down on your keyboard or by dragging a bounding box around them. I'll change the detailed arms first. Finally, click the color box on the top menu next to Operation. Select your new color and your pieces will change to match. I'll make mine yellow. I'll make the other arms, top, and ribbon ends green. And you are now ready to cut. Step 3. Cut your paper bow files. When you're ready to cut, make sure the correct machine is selected in the top right and click Make It. Cricut Design Space reorders the mats according to its color order preference, so they won't be in your layer order. But that's okay, don't worry. Just check that you have the right pieces. The connected bow should take 3 mats. The scalable bow will use a different number of mats based on the size. I noticed the scalable detailed arm by itself could fit on the other yellow mat to save time and materials. So to move a piece, select it, and then click the 3 dots on the upper left and select Move Object. A menu will pop up with a list of all the mats. Select the mat you wish to move the piece to and then click Confirm. The piece will now appear on the selected mat. Make sure to fit it into a blank space, dragging and rotating it before moving on, and then click Continue. On the Make screen, select the correct material setting for your mats. My first mat is the attached white detail arms, which I want to use white glitter cardstock for. There is a glitter cardstock setting, but because I have a lot of small cuts in this layer, I found that using cardstock for intricate cuts as my setting worked the best. And I got the best results with more pressure too. Make sure the fine point blade is loaded into your machine. Place your first piece of cardstock face up on your green standard grip machine mat and make sure it's well adhered with a brayer. Load the mat into your Cricut and press the flashing button to begin cutting. If you run into any issues, check out my Cricut tips and tricks for cleaner cuts at jennifermaker.com/blades. Once the cutting is complete, unload your mat, flip it over onto your work surface, and gently roll it back to release the cardstock. You can use a spatula to slide under the delicate pieces to remove them without ripping or tearing. Remove any remaining pieces with a scraper and then add your next color. I use 65-pound cardstock for everything else, which cut well using the light cardstock setting with more pressure. Continue to load, cut, and remove mats and cardstock until all the pieces are cut and ready to assemble. Step 4. Assemble the paper bow. Let's put the attached bow together first. You can use either craft glue or a brad to assemble your bows. I'll use glue for the attached bow and a brad for the other version so you can see it both ways. Take the largest base layer and add glue around the cutout circle at the end of an arm. Curl it in to line up the cut circle with the one in the middle. Glue the rest of the arms, layering them in the middle. Set it aside to dry. Follow the same steps on the other 2 base layers. Once it's dry, you can adjust the thin pieces of the middle detail layer so they lay nicely or fluff out a bit, depending on your preference. Then add glue to the bottom of the middle layer's center and press it on top of the largest layer. You can rotate them a bit so the curled arms are nestled. Glue the top layer to that assembly. Curl the knot piece into a loop until the pre-cut holes match up and secure the overlapping area with glue. Then set it aside to dry. After the knot piece has dried, glue the back of it where the hole is and place it in the middle of the topmost base layer. Finally, glue the ribbons to the bottom so the ends peek out as much as you like. You can curl the ends with a bone folder if you want. And your bow is now ready to use. Now let's look at how to assemble the scalable bow. We're going to assemble the scalable bow using a brad. It's easier to put together from the top down. Curl the knot piece into a loop until the pre-cut holes match up, and slide the brad through them from inside the loop out. The brad's legs should face down just like this. Take an arm for the smallest layer and place the cutout circle at the thinner end of the brad's post. Continue adding the other 3 smallest arms in the same way. Space them out like a plus sign. Starting with the first one you added, curl the wide end of each arm up toward the bottom and press the brad post through the center hole. Next, add the middle layer in the same way. Since these have the thin details, you can compress them a bit to spread out the pieces. Now add the arms for the largest layer and press the brad post through the center hole. Finally, add the ribbon pieces at the bottom and separate the brad post to hold it all together. To complete the look, rotate each arm layer to set it in the shape you wish, fluff the middle base layer to arrange the thinner pieces, and curl the bottom ribbons with a bone folder. Isn't this awesome?
Now you have lots of bow options for all of your gift and decor needs. Do you have a favorite? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. I love how my paper bow turned out, but I still think my favorite is the tree topper bow because you can make it as elaborate or as simple as you like. Isn't it awesome? The easiest is definitely the scrap bow because you just have to stack a bunch of extra pieces and tie them together. It does not get any easier than that, and it's a great way to use pieces that aren't big enough for other bows, and it's super cute to boot. Most of the ribbons can be taped to a package. You could also thread some thinner ribbon through a few loops if you need to tie the bows to an item. Small handmade treats make wonderful little gifts too. These candy holders are perfect for stockings or holiday parties. Never underestimate a tiny gift. It might just be the moment that makes someone's whole day brighter. You can make these with lollipops like this, but you can also make them as ornaments with different kinds of candy, as you can see on my tree right over my shoulder.
Step 1. Get my free Snowflake candy holder designs. First, download my Snowflake candy holder designs at jennifermaker.com/517. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or access my entire design collection by looking for libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either get a password if you don't yet have one, or click enter the library. Search the page for design number 517 and click the link to download the designs. I've included 5 different Snowflake candy holder designs for you to choose from. There are 2 hanging ornament candy holders, 2 lollipop holders, and 1 freestanding snowflake designed to hold round candies like wrapped chocolate truffles. You can cut these by hand or by using a cutting machine, and today I want to show you how to make them quick and easy using a Cricut cutting machine. I'm using the Cricut Maker 3 today, but you can also use the original Maker, any of the Cricut Explorer series, the Cricut Venture, the Cricut Joy, and the Cricut Joy Extra. To get started, upload the SVG file to Cricut Design Space and add it to your canvas. If you're not sure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/SVGS to watch my SVGs Made Simple training series. Step 2, prepare the Snowflake candy holder designs. This is what my Snowflake candy holder file looks like on the canvas in Cricut Design Space. You can zoom out to see all of the design by clicking on the minus sign on the lower left. Select them and then right-click and choose Ungroup. If you only want to create one candy holder, you can hide any designs you don't want to make from view by clicking on the eye icon from the Layers panel over on the right. Today I'll show you how to make all 5 candy holders, so I'll go ahead and unhide everything again. And there we go, the more the merrier. If you already have your candy on hand, keep its size and shape in mind when you choose which style candy holder you want to make. You can also resize your snowflake holder if you need to. These are really versatile and can be sized up or down to accommodate whatever round wrapped candy you have. Just keep that lock icon closed to maintain the proportions. But since I already designed these to perfectly fit my candies, they are all set and ready to cut. Step 3. Cut your snowflake candy holders. Make sure the correct machine is selected and click Make It. If you're prompted, click on Mat, choose your paper size, and click Confirm. Set the material size for each color to reflect your materials. I'm using 12 by 12 inch cardstock for all of my snowflakes, in a mix of colors, as well as glitter and metallic cardstock. If you're cutting all of the candy holders like I am with the same materials, they will appear on 6 different mats. Let's save some time and cardstock by combining some pieces that use the same color and type of material. Click the mat thumbnail that contains the piece you want to move. There's room on mat 5, so I'll move the single turquoise piece on mat 6 to cut with the other turquoise pieces on mat 5. Select the piece and click the 3 dots that appear. Now click Move Object to open the menu. Click on the mat where the piece needs to move, in this case that's mat 5, and then click Confirm. The piece will now appear on the other mat. Drag it with your mouse to an empty area and voila! Now it will cut with the other turquoise pieces, saving you a whole sheet of cardstock. Isn't that cool? Now I'll move this white glitter cardstock layer piece from mat 3 to mat 2, super easy. And who doesn't like saving some time and materials? I know I do. Once you've combined your snowflake candy holder pieces into the fewest number of mats possible, click back on the first mat and then click Continue. Because we're doing a few different types of cardstock to make our candy holders, we will need to change the cut settings as we load and cut each mat. Your mat order might be different than mine, but my first mat will be cutting pieces from white 80-pound cardstock. On the Make screen, I'll select medium cardstock, and I always recommend selecting more pressure for a better, cleaner cut. Place your cardstock face up on your green standard grip machine mat. Use a brayer to make sure it's fully adhered. Check that your fine point blade is clean and in clamp B. Then load the mat into the machine, press the flashing button or the go button, and your Cricut will begin cutting. Once your cut is complete and before unloading your mat, check to see if the cut went all the way through by lifting a corner with your weeding tool. If it didn't, press the arrow button for another pass. Now unload your mat. Carefully remove the cut pieces by turning the mat over onto your work surface and roll the mat away from the cardstock. This is the best way to ensure that your snowflake pieces don't get curled or bent. If any little pieces remain inside your snowflake, use your weeding tool to gently push them out. And if there are any small pieces left on the mat, use a scraper to gently remove them. Any bits left behind could mess with your next cut. On the second mat, we'll cut the sparkly white glitter cardstock. I find that the cardstock for intricate cut setting with more pressure works best for fine details in this thicker textured material. It's always a good idea to clean your Cricut's blade in between materials. Now, I'll share that tip for keeping your blade nice and clean so you rarely need to replace it. To do it, first remove the blade housing from your Cricut by opening up the clamp and taking it out. Now ball up a piece of regular household aluminum foil. Press the plunger on the blade housing and then carefully poke the blade into the ball over and over, about 50 times or so. Doing this really helps to remove any tiny bits of glitter, debris, or even leftover adhesive from previous vinyl projects that could get stuck to the blade. While this doesn't sharpen the blade or anything like that, it does a great job at cleaning it, which lengthens its life and ensures you have the nicest, cleanest cuts even when you're cutting lots of different materials or types of specialty cardstock in the same project. Aluminum foil isn't enough to either sharpen or dull your blade. When you're done, pop your blade back into your clamp and you're good to go. Cut the white glitter cardstock and then unload the mat. Remove the cut pieces and extra cardstock from the mat, making sure the candy holder doesn't curl or rip. These snowflake pieces are pretty intricate, so move slowly and use a spatula if you need help to gently lift them from the mat. It's extra important to clean your fine point blade after cutting glitter cardstock because the tiny, shiny bits cling to the blade. A few pokes in our trusty aluminum foil ball should do the trick, but make sure the blade is clean before cutting the next material. Next, we'll cut the silver cardstock. This cardstock is thicker than the other kind, so choose the metallic poster board setting with more pressure. And our final mat is 65-pound turquoise cardstock, so select light cardstock with more pressure. These settings worked quite well for me, but remember, every machine is a little different. You may need to tweak some of your settings before finding the ones that work best for your specific materials and types of cardstock. And here's what my snowflake candy holder pieces look like, all cut and laid out and ready to be assembled. Step 4. Assemble your snowflake candy holders. First, let's match the correct layers to one another so we can get a visual of what our snowflakes will look like when they're all put together. Lay the front snowflake piece face up on top of the back piece, as if it were already attached. Now flip the top layer over so the back of it is exposed. Apply glue on the back of the top layer and then flip it back over to attach it to the back piece. Make sure the edges line up cleanly. Press the layers together for a few moments until the glue dries. And there you go. Can you believe that's it? Well, almost. These candy holders do all come together quickly and easily, but there are a few adjustments for each style that I'll show you next. Option 1. Make a candy holder ornament. To make the Christmas tree ornament candy holder, begin by folding the cardstock in half on the hinge to crease it. Carefully add a thin line of glue to the inside edges, only on one side of the holder, and don't close it yet. Place a wrapped chocolate truffle inside, and close the holder while making sure to match up the outer edges of each side of the snowflake. Press on the glued areas until they're well adhered. Look how cute it is already with its little chocolate center. Next, you'll need something to hang it up like ribbon. I have a few different options. You can mix and match or use different colors altogether. It's completely up to you. Have fun with this. Use scissors to cut a piece of ribbon approximately 12 inches long. Tie a knot with the ends of the ribbon to form a loop. Push the loop into the ornament's ribbon hole and then pull the knotted end down and through the end of the loop that was pushed through the hole. This will attach the ribbon to the ornament's ribbon hole. Your cute candy ornament is now complete. Wasn't that easy? It will look so pretty hanging from your tree. Option 2. Make a lollipop candy holder. The lollipop candy holders are even easier. Fold the cardstock in half on the hinge to crease it, then add a thin line of glue to the inside edges of one side of the holder, just like you did with the ornament. Slide in your lollipop and add a little bit of glue to seal the rest of the opening shut around the stick. Now you've turned a regular lollipop into a super cute holiday gift. So simple, yet so lovely, don't you think? Option 3. Make a standing candy holder. Now we'll make a standing candy holder. The assembly on this one is a little bit different because first we need to make its base. All right, so first fold your cardstock at the point where each side of the holder meets the rectangular base. Now fold your candy holder to crease its hinges. Apply a thin line of glue to the inside of the top half's edges. We'll leave the bottom unglued so the base remains open and will keep the candy holder standing up. The wrapper will help the candy stay in place within the circle cutout. And that's it. Wasn't that easy? Now your standing snowflake candy holder is complete and ready for gifting to someone sweet. Didn't these turn out so pretty? I just love how we turned a regular piece of candy into something really special.
These embroidery hoop ornaments have a unique handmade touch you won't find in the stores. And the best part about them is how easy they are to make. This one looks like embroidery, but isn't actually. And this one is just iron-on vinyl on fabric. So easy. So much fun to make. I think you're going to love these.
Get my free embroidery hoop ornament designs. First, download my designs at jennifermaker.com/523. You can either download right from that link by saving the project or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either get a password if you don't yet have one, or click enter the library. Search the page for design number 523 and click the link to download the designs. I've included 6 SVG designs and 6 PNG designs for you to try. The SVG files include Jingle All the Way, Mistletoe Kisses, Mittens, a reindeer, Up to Snow Good, and an intricate snowflake. And the PNG designs include a fox, an owl, a penguin, a poinsettia bloom, a snowman, and a festive wreath. I'll show you how to use the SVG designs with iron-on vinyl or infusible ink transfer sheets, and then how to sublimate the PNG designs. Then we'll finish the ornaments with embroidery hoops. I'm using materials from this kit that includes 4-inch hoops and lots of cute accessories. Now for this workshop, I'm using the Cricut Maker 3, but you can also use an original Maker, Explore 3, Explorer Air 2, Explore, Venture, Joy, or the Joy Extra for this project. Basically, you can use any Cricut. Step 1, prepare your iron-on vinyl SVG design. Let's first do the iron-on vinyl designs. In a new Cricut Design Space canvas, upload the SVG of your choice. I'm going to make the mitten design. If you're not sure how to upload, just go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload SVG files. The SVG files are sized to fit nicely inside a 4-inch embroidery hoop. If you want to use a different hoop, keep the lock icon closed and then resize the design as needed. If you choose to use a different size embroidery hoop, make sure to measure the available space inside your hoop and adjust your image sizes, being sure to leave a margin around your design. For example, a 5-inch embroidery hoop would look great with a 4-inch design. But we're going to stick to the original size. And then use the color box to change the design's color if you want. I'll make mine light orange to represent the gold vinyl. Step 2, cut your design from iron-on vinyl. Check that the right machine is selected and then click Make It. On the Prepare screen, make sure your design looks correct. And then, since we apply iron-on vinyl to cloth face down, be sure to click Mirror. And then click Continue. On the Make screen, we'll select our material. If it's not listed, click on Browse All Materials and type Glitter, and then select it. Then set the pressure to More to get a cleaner cut. Prepare your vinyl by placing it shiny side down on a green standard grip machine mat. And use a brayer to make sure the vinyl is stuck really well. Check that your fine point blade is clean and in the correct clamp. And then load the mat into your Cricut and press the flashing button to begin cutting. Once the cut is complete, unload your mat, flip the mat over onto your work surface, and bend the mat back to release the vinyl. For more information on cutting vinyl, check out my Cricut tips and tricks for cleaner cuts over at jennifermaker.com/blades. Now let's cut away the excess vinyl and save it so we can use it in a future project. Place the decal carrier sheet down on a machine mat to keep it still while it's weeding. And use your weeding tool to pick up and remove the largest unneeded vinyl area around the design. And then remove smaller unneeded pieces too. Now, if any design piece comes up during weeding, just pat them back into place with the weeding tool. Just make sure the dull surface stays face up or the piece won't adhere to the fabric later on. Step 3, apply iron-on vinyl to your fabric. Grab or cut a 6-inch square of cotton in a pattern or color that will look nice with the design. I'll use red plaid from the kit. The fabric will be easier to work with if you don't pre-wash it first. Preheat your press to 330 degrees Fahrenheit or 166 degrees Celsius with a time of 30 seconds. Place your square face up on a cricut pressing pad. Press it with light pressure for 5 seconds first to remove wrinkles and moisture. It might shrink a bit, but that's okay. Now use a lint roller to remove any stray bits of dust or pet hair or threads. Lay your design shiny side up on the material, centering as best as possible on your square. The plastic backer protects the vinyl from the heat source, but you can add a small piece of butcher paper if you'd like. Lower the heat source over the vinyl and press it for 30 seconds with firm pressure. Once the time is up, put the press back in its cradle. Then let the liner cool to the touch. Once it's cool, carefully lift one corner of the liner to peel it off. If some vinyl comes up with the liner, you can replace the liner and press it again for a few seconds. And then wait until it cools again to try removing it again. Luckily, mine stayed put the first time. And there's your design. We'll put the embroidery hoop on once the others are done. Infusible ink transfer sheet design on polyester. Step 1. Prepare your infusible ink transfer sheets. Now, while infusible ink transfer sheets are actually a sublimation product, you can prepare the SVGs for them using the same steps that you used for iron-on vinyl. So upload the SVG that you want and add it to your canvas. I'm going to use the reindeer. This time we'll make a cutout image with ink surrounding the design instead of being inside of it. So click on the Shapes menu and pick a free circle. With the lock icon at the top closed, change the circle's width to be about 1.5 inches larger than that of your embroidery hoop. Right-click on the circle and choose Send to Back. Now select both the design and the circle, and then choose a line from the top menu and pick Center. At the bottom of the Layers panel, click on Slice. Then delete the sliced results that you see in the Layers panel other than the circle with the design cut from its center. And then use the color box to change the color if you'd like. I'll use red. Step 2, cut your infusible ink transfer sheet. Check that the right machine is selected and then click Make It. Now, just like iron-on vinyl, Cricut infusible ink transfer sheet designs get applied face down, so turn on the mirror setting, and then click Continue. On the Make screen, click Browse All Materials and search for Infusible. Choose Infusible ink transfer sheet and click Done, and change the pressure to More. Now, moisture and skin oils can interfere with infusible ink, so wash and dry your hands well before you touch it. All right, so now place your infusible ink sheet ink side up on a green standard grip machine mat. I'm using the fun red and black plaid design here. Use a brayer to make sure the material is really secure to your mat, and then check that your fine point blade is clean and in the right clamp, and load your mat into your Cricut and press the flashing button to begin cutting. When it's done, unload your machine mat and flip your mat over onto your work surface and peel the mat back to release the infusible ink transfer sheet. Now cut away the excess material so there's only a little left around the ornament itself. You can save the rest for another project. Now, weeding infusible ink transfer sheets is a little different than iron-on vinyl. The way you want to do this is to carefully bend and roll the design until you hear a slight cracking sound. That's just the cut separating, and it's why we call this the cracking method. Don't worry if the design lifts off the liner a bit, it's really sturdy. Then remove the excess ink around the circle with your fingers or a pair of tweezers. To create the negative space design, be sure you lift away the inner cut pieces too. If a design piece lifts up, just pat it back in place, and with the right side face up, of course. You can get more tips about using Cricut infusible ink transfer sheets in my ceramic ornament project at jennifermaker.com/351. Step 3, apply your infusible ink transfer sheet to your polyester. So open a window in your room and turn on a fan to improve your ventilation while you're using infusible ink. Preheat your press to 385 degrees Fahrenheit or 195 degrees Celsius with a time of 60 seconds. Remember, a standard iron won't get hot enough for this project. You need to use a heat press. Cut a 6.5-inch square from the white polyester material. Lay a piece of white cardstock on the pressing pad to protect it from ink transfer, and then place your polyester square on top of it. Lightly press the material for 5 seconds to remove moisture and wrinkles. And then lint roll it to remove any lint or stray threads that might interfere with your transfer. Center the weeded design ink side down on the fabric. It should look correct since we mirrored it, right? And use heat-resistant tape to secure the liner to the fabric. Cover the project with some white uncoated butcher paper. You can use the paper from inside the Cricut infusible ink sheet box or from your stash. And then press the whole sandwich of materials for 60 seconds with firm pressure. Once the time is up, lift the press straight up to avoid shifting the design while it's still sublimating, as that can cause ghosting or blurry edges. Now let the project sit for a while to cool, and then remove the butchered paper, the tape, and the liner from the design. Project number 3, printed sublimation design on polyester. Step 1, get or prepare a sublimation design. I'm going to print my sublimation file using Cricut Design Space, but you can also use Google Docs following the steps over at jennifermaker.com/394. Now in a new Cricut Design Space canvas, click Upload and then select Upload Image. Next, click Browse and open your chosen PNG design. I'm going to use the penguin. On the preview page, select the complex option to preserve the colors and details, and then click Continue. The file already has a transparent background, so just click Apply and Continue. Now you'll see 2 images. On the left is the design's outline, and on the right is the print then cut version. Select the print then cut option and click Upload. Select the image in the recent uploads area and then click Add to Canvas. The design will appear larger than necessary on the canvas because PNG files are very detailed. Click Shapes and add a free circle to the canvas. Make sure the lock icon is closed, and then change the width of the circle to 4 inches or the correct measurement for your embroidery hoop. Now change the circle's operation to guide, which will be visible on the canvas but will not print or cut. Move the design inside the circle. Then, with the lock icon closed, click and drag in the image's corner to create a bit of white space all the way around it. I tried to allow at least 1/4 inch around the image. I chose to make my penguin 3 inches tall to fit nicely inside the 4-inch circle. Step 2, print and prepare the sublimation ornament design. So first check that the right machine is selected and then click Make It. The material size will show as 8.5 by 11 inches, so if you are using another size, be sure to adjust it. This ornament design will be sublimated face down, so also turn on the mirror setting. And then click Continue. On the Make screen, click Send to Printer. In the Printer Setup box, make sure your sublimation printer is selected and leave the Add Bleed setting turned off because we don't want the images to be printed with any extra ink around them when we're doing a sublimation project like this. But do toggle on the Use System Dialog setting and then click Print. And then you'll want to minimize the Cricut window to find the System Dialog box that will pop up behind it. Now your screen might look different than mine at this point, but the important things to do are to set the print quality to the highest quality available and change the paper to one similar to presentation paper matte. Don't flip the image or mirror it, since we already asked Cricut Design Space to mirror it for us. Now make sure your sublimation paper is loaded correctly into your printer by checking the packaging, and then click Print. Let the sheet dry for a few minutes to avoid any smudges. The print will have some black registration marks for Cricut's Print Then Cut feature, but we won't need them, so instead just gently tear away the extra paper around the design. Feathering the edges like this avoids indenting the fabric during the pressing process. Step 3. Sublimate the ornament design. Remember, open a window in your room and turn on a fan to improve ventilation before sublimating. Preheat your heat press. I'm using an Easy Press 2, so my sublimation cookbook says to heat it to 385 degrees Fahrenheit or 195 degrees Celsius, and set the time for 40 seconds. Next, cut 6-inch squares from the white polyester material. Lay a piece of white cardstock on the Cricut pressing mat to protect it from ink transfer, and then place a square of polyester on the cardstock. Lightly press the material to preheat it for 10 seconds. Then lint roll the square to remove debris. Next, put the trimmed and feathered design ink side down over the center of the material and secure it with heat-resistant tape. Cover the material and sublimation paper with white butcher paper, and then press the whole sandwich of items for 40 seconds with light pressure. Once the time is up, carefully pull the press straight up and put it back in its cradle. Let the project set for about 10 seconds, then remove the butcher paper, tape, and sublimation paper from the fabric. Step 4. Assemble the ornaments. You can assemble all 3 types of designs the same way. First, plug in your hot glue gun. Next, gather materials to assemble your ornament. You'll need an embroidery hoop, the design on your fabric, scissors, a marker, felt, greenery, bells, or decorations. I also recommend finger protectors and a piece of twine or ribbon so that you can hang your hoop. A Cricut bright pad can help center the image in the middle of the hoop, but that's totally optional. Loosen the bolt at the top of the embroidery hoop and remove the outer hoop from the smaller inner one. Now use your marker to trace the smaller hoop's outer edge on felt. It's okay if the marker touches the hoop. You won't see it once the ornament is assembled. And then cut out the felt circle and set it aside for now. Set the inside hoop down onto a hard surface. Drape the material with the design face up over the center. Be sure to center the design. This is important. If you have any trouble, place the hoop and the material on the Cricut bright pad. The light from the bright pad will shine through the material, making it easier to see that the design is in the hoop center and straight and looks good. When you have the design where you'd like it, hold the outer loop with the bolt at the design's top. Carefully open the outer hoop just enough to slide down around the inner hoop, trapping the material in between them. Now carefully hold the assembled hoop together while tightening the bolt at the top of the clamp to keep the hoop shut. Then turn the hoop over and trim the material so just 1/4 of an inch sticks out from the hoops. Now put on your finger protectors and place a bit of hot glue on the smaller hoop's inside surface and press the excess material down to secure it. Smooth the fabric down as much as possible so the surface is flat. You don't want any bumps. Work in small sections to secure the material all the way around the hoop. Then place a bit of glue on the inner hoop's fabric-covered edge. Don't get too close to the outer edge. The glue could squish out and become visible. Center the felt circle on the inner hoop with the unmarked side facing up. Press an edge of the circle into the hot glue. Work your way around the hoop in small sections until the circle is adhered and the back looks finished. Flip the ornament back over and decorate the top with pieces of greenery, ribbons, bells, or any other items you like. You can use hot glue, or if they include wire, just wrap it around the bolt posts. Finish the ornament off with ribbon and twine looped through the bolt for hanging, and it is complete. Step 5, show them off. You can decorate your walls, holiday displays, or gifts with your ornaments. They make great presents for others too.
Now, if you'd like a gift that's both playful and practical, this festive Santa purse is sure to delight anyone who receives it. And of course, it's really a gift bag, not a purse, but it's just so adorable. You can make it on a full-size cutting machine or on a little Cricut Joy. And really, I think that the whimsy of this is just part of the magic of it. These are really fun. Are you looking for the perfect gift bag for the fashion fan on your holiday list? Well, I have it. Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to make a Santa-inspired gift bag with a secret inside. The right wrapping can really make a present shine, like this adorable purse-style gift bag with Santa-inspired details. With the reinforcement techniques that I'm going to show you in this video, this gift bag can hold up to 5 pounds. So it can hold small presents, and then the recipient can use it as holiday decor, or maybe use it to keep their holiday party accessories together, whatever they want it for, right? Now, if you would like to go the extra step with a matching accessory, I can teach you how to easily create and attach a personalized keychain. No need to bother with sticky gift tags. And since this project comes together entirely with cardstock, you'll want to invest in high quality 65-pound cardstock, like this red foil cardstock that I'll use for the purse's main pieces. This cardstock gives the purse a shiny, reflective finish and is perfect for showing off decorative stitches using dashed cut lines. You can also use this red solid core cardstock for the purse's body. It keeps its shape well and is sturdy enough to hold the weight of a gift. The Santa purse can be made using glitter cardstock too, but you'll need to use a hot glue gun to assemble the pieces if you do. Now, this didn't always work well during testing, so unless you're up for the challenge, I recommend sticking with foil or plain cardstock. I also have white 100-pound heavy cardstock to make reinforcement panels for the purse's bottom to add extra sturdiness. I also found this lovely faux fur trim to line the top of your purse. It feels very soft and it looks just so pretty. The classic white color reminds me of Santa's hat or a blanket of snow, making it the perfect accent for our holiday projects. It comes on a tidy roll that cuts easily into strips using just a pair of scissors. Plus, it has a flat backing that can be glued to other surfaces, and the faux fur is thick enough to hide the backing from view. Now, to keep our project together, we're going to be using my favorite craft glue. It works well on both the shiny side of our cardstock as well as the plain side. So it's a versatile adhesive that can be used on a variety of materials. We'll be using it to attach everything except the faux fur trim. For that, we want to use our hot glue gun and some glue sticks, of course. Now you'll need a way to cut your cardstock too. This project has quite a few pieces, so I'm using my Cricut cutting machine to take a lot of the work off my hands. You can use any other cutting machine that fits it as well, including any of the Cricut Explorer series machines, the Cricut Venture, I've got it over there, you can't quite see it, or even the Cricut Joy Extra. You can even use the Cricut Joy to make this adorable little purse. It's so cute. It won't hold quite as much, of course, but you know, it's so cute. My free downloadable designs include SVG files for cutting on all of these machines, as well as DXF files for machines that require those instead. I also have included a PDF folder with patterns that you can print and cut by hand. So everyone is included in this. All patterns include a way to add a secret pocket inside, which I'll show you how to do in this video. Okay, I think we're all set. Let me show you where to get my free pattern files, and then we'll cut and assemble this adorable Santa purse gift bag together. Step 1, get my free paper Santa purse gift bag designs. First, download my free designs at jennifermaker.com/679. You can either download right from that link by saving the project or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the Library. Search the page for design number 679 and click the link to download the designs. If you're not sure how to do this, visit jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to download and unzip files. In the SVG folder, you'll find score and no score versions to cut on a cutting machine. Score versions are for those of you who have a scoring tool and want to use it, while the no score versions are for those who can't use a scoring tool or just prefer dashed cut lines instead of score lines. There's also a DXF folder with cut files and a PDF folder with versions that you can print and cut by hand. I'll demonstrate with a no score version so you know which dash lines to cut and which ones are for decoration. To begin, open the Cricut Design Space software and upload the SVG file that you need to get started. Step 2. Prepare and cut your Santa Purse gift bag design. Here is the no score version of the Santa Purse design on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. For the purse's body, you have 2 square front and back pieces, plus 2 rectangular side pieces. The rectangle with 4 tabs is the bottom, and the one with 3 tabs is the inside pocket. The outside has 4 rectangular belt pieces, plus a buckle. The 8 long, thin strips are the handle pieces, and the berry and leaf pairs are holly accents. You also have 2 patterns for cutting the faux fur, and a reinforcement panel for the bottom of the purse. Some adjustments will save time and material, so click the Ungroup icon. I recommend always ungrouping because they are usually grouped by default. Some pieces are optional, like the holly, the fur, and the bottom reinforcement. If you want to skip any, just select and delete them, but I'll show you how to make all 3. You can also remove 4 of the handle pieces, but only do this if you're using 2-sided or solid core cardstock, or else the back of your handles may not match the front. To match the cardstock you'll use, select a piece on the canvas and use the color box next to Operation to pick a new color. And that's all you need to do. Your project is ready to cut. Make sure the correct machine is selected in the top right, and then click Make. On the Prepare screen, make sure the material size matches your materials. The default is 12 by 12 inch cardstock. If you're using another size, you can switch to that by clicking on it in the drop-down menu. Then click on the first mat so it will load first on the next screen. Then click Continue. On the Make screen, set the base material for your first mat. Mine is the white mat. I'll use heavy cardstock 100 pound for the fur patterns and reinforcement. And I'll change the pressure to more for cleaner cuts. Place your first piece of cardstock face up on a green standard grit machine mat. Use a brayer to make sure it's fully adhered. Check that your premium fine point blade is clean and in the clamp. And then press the flashing load button to load the prepared mat into your Cricut. And then press that flashing middle button to begin cutting. When it's finished cutting, don't unload the mat right away. Instead, gently lift a corner of the material to make sure the cuts went all the way through. If they didn't, press that middle button again to make a second pass of cuts in the same spots. When the cuts are complete, unload the mat, flip the mat over onto your work surface, and roll it back to release the cardstock. For the remaining mats, set your material to the medium cardstock 80 pound setting with more pressure to cut both the foil cardstock and the regular cardstock. After you set the material for a mat, you can check the box next to Remember Material Settings to save time. Then use the same steps to load and cut the cardstock for the rest of your mats. Use the spatula to help lift delicate parts. If you have any issues with your cuts, go to jennifermaker.com/cleanercuts for more tips. Lay out all of the pieces face up in organized piles. If you cut everything, you should have 4 purse sides plus the pocket, bottom, and bottom panel, 4 side straps, a belt buckle, and 8 handle pieces, 2 fur trim patterns, 4 leaves, and 4 berries. Step 3. Assemble your paper Santa Purse gift bag. Lay your bottom piece face down and fold up along the tabs. Run a scraper tool along the creases to sharpen the folds. And do the same for the pocket piece.
Take one side piece and fold in along the pretty side center crease line to the point where the 3 lines meet. Fold in along the left diagonal crease line to the edge and then along the right crease. Run the scraper from where the creases meet out to the edges to sharpen them. Use your scraper to fold the 2 side tabs to the back. Then fold the other side piece the same way. Now hold a short belt strap horizontally and fold along the vertical crease. And do the same for the other short belt strap. Don't forget to use your scraper. If you cut the holly pieces, take one of the leaf pieces and fold up along both crease lines, without sharpening to add some dimension. Then repeat for the remaining holly leaves. Lay one of the purse's square pieces pretty side up, with the wider edge at the top for the front. Place a long belt strap angled and flush with the purse's shape. Flip up the belt strap and rest it just above its proper position. Then add a line of craft glue along the strap's border. Flip the strap back down into position, then press around the edges to adhere it. Lay the purse's back piece next to the front piece in the same orientation, pretty side up. Overlap the top corner slightly to make sure the pieces are aligned across the top. Lay the second long belt strap face down. Apply a thin line of craft glue along the inside edge of the strap. Flip the strap over and position it on the purse's back piece, aligning with the front piece's strap. Then press along the edges to adhere. Now lay one of the purse's side pieces beside the front piece, pretty side up, with the center crease tops of both pieces aligned. Tuck the side piece's folded tabs under it. Lay one of the short belt straps face down in your work area. Apply a thin line of craft glue along the inside edges on both halves of the strap, making a box-shaped line of glue on each side. Flip the strap over and position it on the side piece, aligning its vertical crease with the side's vertical crease, and its top with the front strap's top. Press along the edges to adhere. Then do the same to adhere the second short belt strap to the purse's other side. Allow all of the pieces to dry. Then make sure the sides still fold along the creases and all the belt straps are fully adhered. Make sure the belt straps' edges are completely sealed or they might get caught on something and pop off your bag, and we wouldn't want that. If any spots on the straps aren't sealed, use the precision tip on your craft glue to apply more glue. Press again and allow to dry. Now lay the purse's front piece pretty side up and the buckle pretty side down. Apply craft glue to the buckle's back on all 4 sides. Flip the buckle over and position it over the front strap center. Press down to adhere and allow the glue to dry. Next, gather the bottom base piece, 2 side pieces, and the front and back pieces. Lay the base pretty side down with the short sides on the left and right. Place the purse's 2 side pieces along the base's short sides, pretty side down, with their bottom edges touching the base. Then place the front piece along the bottom side and the back piece along the top side, with both pieces' bottom edges touching the base. Fold the base piece's left tab so it's pretty side up, then apply craft glue to it. Align the purse's left side piece against the base's left creased edge, then flip the glued tab down onto it. Press down along the entire tab to adhere. Test to make sure the piece folds along the creased tab. Then repeat these steps to adhere the base's remaining tabs to the purse's sides. Take your pocket piece and apply craft glue to its 3 folded tabs. With the tabless side facing away from the base, center the pocket on the front piece's back and then press the tabs to adhere it. Allow the glue to dry with the base open. Then fold up the left side piece's bottom tab. Apply craft glue to the tab. Fold the purse's front side up to meet the glued tab and align its edge with the side tab's folded crease. Rotate the purse so the front is against your work surface and press the tab down from the inside to adhere it well. Do the same to adhere the right side piece's bottom tab to the purse's front. Then turn the purse so the back side is pointing toward you, pretty side down, and the front and sides of the purse are standing up. Apply craft glue to the left and right side tabs, then place the front of the purse on your work surface. Lower the back piece onto the side tabs to line up the edges, then flip the purse so the back is on your work surface. Press down along the tabs from the inside to adhere them to the purse's back. Now gather your 8 handle pieces and face the purse's front side toward you. Lay the first handle piece pretty side down. Apply craft glue to its rounded ends bottom section. Attach the handle piece to the purse's top left corner so it goes straight up. Use your long pattern piece to make sure the handle's end won't show below the trim. Press and hold the handle piece in place until the glue is dry. Repeat to attach a handle piece to the purse's top right corner. If you want anything else on your handle, add it now. Next, add craft glue to the shiny side of the right handle piece's unattached end. Bring the unattached ends of both handle pieces together, shiny side up, so they overlap by about 1 inch, with the glued end on the bottom. Keep the overlapping ends aligned so your handle curves naturally. Press and hold the overlapping area together until the glue is dry. Turn the purse so the back is facing you now. Take another handle piece and apply craft glue to its rounded ends bottom section. Attach it to the purse's inside left corner, aligning it with the attached outside handle the best you can. Press firmly to adhere the handle. Apply craft glue to the rest of the handle piece's plain side. Carefully align the handle pieces back to back, pressing and smoothing from bottom to top to secure them. Repeat this process to attach a handle piece to the purse's inside right corner and finish the handle. Then attach the second handle to the other side the same way. Next, lay out a holly leaf with the leaves folded upward. Apply a small amount of craft glue to the center of a holly piece. Align the berry piece over the berries in the leaf center. Press to adhere the berries to the leaves. Then repeat for the 3 remaining leaf and berry pairs. Now cover your work surface with butcher paper to protect it from stray fur and hot glue. Take your faux fur trim and place it pretty side down. Then lay the long cardstock trim pattern on top. Use a pen to trace the pattern onto the fur. Then use sharp scissors to cut the fur along the pen marks. Pull away and discard any loose fur. Repeat these steps to cut a second long strip of fur, then do the same to cut 2 strips of fur using the short pattern. Next, plug in your glue gun and allow it to warm up, and put on your finger caps to protect your fingers from hot glue. Once the hot glue is ready, position the long fur strip on the purse's front with the wider edge at the top. Working quickly but carefully, add hot glue along the fur's back inner edge. Align the strip and purse's top edges, then press them together to adhere. If any spots don't adhere well, add more hot glue and press together again. Now follow the same steps to adhere the second long strip of fur to the purse's back. Then again to attach the 2 short strips to the purse's sides, aligning them with long strips. Next, add a small dot of hot glue to the back of a holly piece and attach it to your purse. Then repeat for the others. I'll attach mine to my purse's 4 top corners. Place the optional cardstock reinforcement panel in the bottom of your purse for extra sturdiness. Step 4, show it off. You now have the perfect gift bag for your fashion fan. Isn't it just super cute? Step 5, customize it. If you loved this Santa purse gift bag and want to make a cute accent to go with it, I can show you how to create and customize your very own name tag keychain to match your Santa bag through a special program called Advance with Jennifer Maker over at jennifermaker.com/advance. The Advance program helps to advance your crafting skills by teaching you how to make these popular designs unique and special through exclusive tutorials and templates, as well as give you early access to my vast library of designs, projects, and resources. And we have really cool things like member challenges, a searchable library, downloadable videos, just tons of really cool stuff. Now, I may or may not be accepting new members into the advanced program at the time you see this, but if you're interested, go to jennifermaker.com/advance to learn more and see how it all works. And here are my finished Santa purse gift bags. Aren't they just so fun? The faux fur trim and the belt buckle make me think of Santa and his toy sack because there is so much more room for magic in our gift bags too.
And have I mentioned how much I love this secret pocket inside? You could use it to surprise a friend or a loved one with a gift card or another meaningful sentiment. They are sure to be delighted with this bag no matter how you present it. Now, since this is cardstock, after all, you'll want to take some precautions to help your bag last as long as it can. Make sure the handles are secured very well since they'll hold most of the weight during use. And don't skip that reinforcement panel. And while this gift bag can hold a decent amount, try not to overload it. You'll also want to avoid getting the bag wet, so no leaving this out in the snow. Sometimes the simplest gift is just a heartfelt card. And with a bit of embroidery, yes, embroidery, you can turn a card into a keepsake. When words and stitches come together, they create something that lasts long after the holidays are over. This is a beautiful Christmas tree with beads on it. This is a snowflake, and there's 2 other designs. I think you're going to love them.
Step 1, get my embroidered card designs. First, download the card designs at jennifermaker.com/676. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 676 and click the link to download the designs. If you're not sure how to do any of this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to download and unzip files. There are 2 files in the SVG folder with score and no score versions of the card designs that use score lines or dash cut lines for the creases. Score versions are for those who have a scoring tool and want to use it, while the no score versions are for those who can't use a scoring tool or just prefer dash cut lines instead of scores. There's also a guide in the PDF folder to help you embroider the designs. In this video, I'll show you how to use a Cricut cutting machine to cut the SVGs so they are nice and precise. If you cut these by hand using the PDFs instead, just skip to step 3. Step 2, prepare and cut your cards. Open Cricut Design Space and click New Project to move to a blank canvas where you can see all the tools and features available. Then click Upload and Upload Image. Click Browse and then find and select the SVG file. I'll demonstrate with a file that uses dashed cut lines for the creases so everyone can follow along. That is the file with no score in the file name. Click Continue, then Upload, and it will look like this on your canvas. Zoom out to see the whole design. Then click the Ungroup icon above the Layers panel. I recommend always ungrouping a design after you upload it, as it will be grouped by default. Now click the Save button at the top right and give your file a name. Then click Save to make sure you don't lose anything. Select any designs you don't want to use and click the Delete icon above the Layers panel to remove them. I'll keep all of the designs. Make sure to keep the plain rectangle too, to hide the underside later on. If you're cutting more than one design, duplicate the backer until you have the same number as your cards. Right now, all 4 of my cards are white. I want to cut my tree and snowflake cards from white craft board, so I'll leave them alone. But I want to cut my sunflower and leaf cards from brown craft board. So first I'll select the sunflower cards base, then click the color box next to Operation to change it to brown so the Cricut knows to cut it on a separate mat with different cut settings. I want to use craft board on the leaf card too, so I'll click the arrow to expand the group. Then click the base card piece and change it to brown in the color box. Now make sure the correct machine is selected in the top right and click Make. On the left side of the Prepare screen, check that the correct material size is selected for each of your materials. My first mat's white craft board is 12 by 12, and so are my other 2 mats with the base card and backer pieces. The shimmer cardstock I'm using for my embellishments is 8.5 by 11 inches though, so I'll change each of those. When they're all set, select the first mat so it loads first on the next page, and then click Continue on the bottom right. On the Make screen, set the base material for the first mat. I'm using white craft board, so I'll click Browse All Materials and search for the craft board setting. I'll select it, click Done, and then change the pressure to More for the cleanest cuts. My second and third mats are craft board too, so I'll check the Remember Material Settings box to apply the same settings to them as well. Now place the first mat's craft board face up on a green standard grip machine mat. Use a brayer to make sure it's fully and evenly adhered. Check that your premium fine point blade is clean and in the clamp, and then press the flashing load button on your Cricut to load the mat. And then press the flashing button to begin cutting. When the Cricut is finished cutting, don't unload the mat just yet. Instead, gently lift a corner of the craft board to see if the cut went all the way through. Be careful not to crease it when you check it. If it's not cut through, smooth the craft board back down and press that middle button again so your Cricut can go back over the cuts. If you have any trouble with the cuts, check out my tips for cleaner cuts at jennifermaker.com/blades. When the cut is finished, press the flashing button to unload the mat. Then flip it over onto your work surface and roll it back to release the material. Use a small scraper tool to push any leftover bits of craft board off of your mat between the cuts. If any craft board stays attached to the tiny holes on the cards and embellishments, don't worry. Just use your embroidery needle or a weeding tool to carefully poke them out. My last two mats are shimmer cardstock, so I'll use the medium cardstock setting, again with more pressure. Then I'll check the Remember Material Settings box to apply the same settings to my last mat too. And a spatula can help in lifting the delicate snowflakes from the mat. The cards have several stitches I detail in the PDF guide, so print it or keep it open for reference. Step 3. Assemble your embroidered cards. Each design is a little different, so I'll walk you through them. Let's start with the sunflower card. We'll embroider the main card piece with tiny holes and use this rectangle to hide the back of the embroidery when we're done. Have the diagram nearby for reference. Grab your sewing needle and embroidery floss. I'll use light brown for the inner center circle, dark brown for the middle center circle, golden yellow floss for the petals, and green for the stem and leaves. The inner center circles first, so I'll use scissors to cut a piece of light brown floss about 20 inches long. Thread the floss through the needle's edge and pull a few inches through, then tie a knot about 1 inch from the long end. If you have trouble threading your needle, you can also use a needle threading tool. Push the loop end of the threader through the needle's eye. Slide your thread through the loop and then pull the loop back through the eye. Using your guide as a reference, find hole number 1. It has an up arrow, meaning the needle will go from the back up through the hole. Pull the floss through so the knot rests at the back of the card. Don't pull too hard or the knot will come through. You can use your finger to keep the knot in place if you need to. Now find hole 2. It has a down arrow, so insert the needle down into the hole. Keep your fingers safely out of the way while you do this. Pull the floss all the way through, then follow the guide to go up through hole 3. Now follow the numbers and arrows on the guide, pulling the floss all the way through each time you go through a hole to keep your stitches neat. If you find that the floss is too long to manage while embroidering, cut your next one a little shorter. Or if it's too short to finish the section you're working on, bring the working floss through a hole to the back and remove the needle. Tie a loose knot in the floss and then put your needle through the middle and slide it close to the cardstock. Hold the strands in place with the needle while you pull the tail to tighten the knot so the stitches won't loosen. Then remove the needle and trim the excess floss close to the knot. Then start again with more matching floss to complete the section. Once you reach the hole with the red 20 next to it, you're almost done with this section. Pull the floss all the way through. Flip the card over and tie off the back using the needle like I showed you. Then trim the excess. Follow the same steps as before to prepare your needle with a 20-inch long piece of dark brown floss. Then follow the guide to embroider the middle center circle. For the sunflower's large outer ring, cut about 20 inches of the yellow floss. Prepare the floss and then insert the threaded needle up into hole 1. Then push the needle down into hole 2. Be careful when threading these holes. They're very close together, so pulling the floss through too hard could tear the card between them. Continue following the numbers and arrows until you push the needle down into the hole with a red 48 next to it on a diagram. Then tie it off and trim the excess thread. For the petals, cut a piece of yellow floss about 20 inches long. Prepare the needle and bring it up through hole 1 and the yellow inner ring. Then, coming in from the left side, insert the threaded needle under the strand of floss between holes 1 and 2 on the outer ring. Make sure the floss is pushed completely under the loop, not through the fibers. Pull the floss through so it's taut. Then push the needle back through the same hole it's threaded through on the inner ring, in this case, hole 1. Pull it through until it's taut. Repeat the same stitching steps until you've embroidered the last of the 24 petals. Tie off the floss and trim the ends. Next are the stem and leaves. So prepare your needle with 20 inches of green floss and start at hole 1 on the stem. Follow the numbers and arrows until you get to hole 13. Then pull the floss up through the hole. Coming from the right side, insert the threaded needle under the strand of floss between holes 11 and 12. Just like before, make sure the floss is pushed under the loop, not through the fibers of the floss. Push the floss down through hole 14, then continue following the numbers and arrows until you get to hole 17. Pull the floss up and through. Then, coming from the left side, insert the needle under the strand of floss between holes 15 and 16 and pull it taut. Then push the floss down through hole 18. Follow the numbers and arrows until you get to hole 21. Pull the floss up through the hole. Then, coming from the right side, insert the needle under the strand between holes 19 and 20. Push the floss down through hole 22. Following the numbers and arrows until you get to thread hole 25. Then, coming from the left side, insert the needle under the strand between holes 23 and 24. Push the needle down through hole 26 and tie it off on the back. This is what the finished sunflower embroidery looks like on my card. Now let's do the tree card. The cut pieces for the tree card are similar, with a main card piece and a backer piece to hide the back of the embroidery. Gather your embroidery floss colors, as well as some beads to decorate the tree. For floss, I use brown for the trunk, dark green for the main part of the tree, and a golden yellow for the star. For beads, I use a little over 100 2mm glass beads in various colors. You'll also want to use a collapsible eye needle for the beaded section, since the regular sewing needle may not fit through your beads. Make sure to have the diagram nearby for reference. The small star is first, and you only need about 12 inches of floss. Thread the floss through the eye of your sewing needle, then tie a knot about an inch from the long end. Just like the sunflower, gently bring the thread up through hole 1, then down through hole 2 so the knot is against the back. Again, follow the numbers and arrows. When you get to the back of the first hole, which has a red 10, push the needle down into it and tie off the floss. For the trunk, prepare your sewing needle with brown floss and insert it from the back of the card up into hole 1 on the trunk. Pull the floss through until the knot touches the back of the card. Insert the threaded needle down into hole 2, then continue following the numbers and arrows until you insert the needle down into the hole with the red 12 next to it on the diagram. Then tie off and trim the floss. Now let's embroider the main part of the tree and add the beads. Prepare your collapsible needle with a piece of green floss the same way you prepared the sewing needle. Insert the needle from the back of the card up into hole 1 on the trunk. The collapsible eye needle is a bit more delicate, so be gentle when threading it in and out of the holes. If it breaks, just remove the needle, thread a new one, then resume embroidering where you left off. Continue following the numbers and arrows until you push the needle up through hole 7. Pull the floss through until it touches the back of the card. Gently string a couple of beads onto the floss. Then insert the needle down into the next hole, which is hole 8. Bring the needle back up through the next hole, which is hole 9. Add beads to the segment. I added 3. Continue embroidering and adding beads. The number of beads you'll string onto each segment depends on its length and how full you'd like it. I strung 10 to 12 beads on my longest segments, but you can use as many or as few as you want, just as long as they all fit. Continue until you push the needle up through hole 39. Now follow the numbers and arrows without adding beads until you push your needle down into hole 44. Use the sewing needle to tie the floss against the card and then trim the ends. Here's my finished tree embroidery on my card. Now let's do the maple leaf card. The maple leaf card has a main card piece, a piece to hide the back of the embroidery, both cut from craft board, plus a leaf embellishment. I'll use red floss for the leaf outline, beige for the veins, and green for the accent leaves. Prepare your needle with the red floss. Grab the leaf embellishment piece and align its holes with the holes on the front of the main card piece. Hold the embellishment in place with one thumb while you'll use your other hand to hold the needle and floss. Insert the threaded needle from the back up through hole 1 so the knot is snug on the back. Follow the numbers and arrows until you push the needle down through the hole with a red 52 next to it on the diagram. Tie off and trim the excess floss. Now we'll do the veins. Prepare the needle with the beige floss and insert it up into hole 1. Follow the numbers and arrows until you push the needle down through the hole with the red 42 next to it on the diagram. Then tie it off and trim the floss. For the left side of the accent leaves, cut a piece of green floss and prepare your needle like before. Start from the back and thread hole 1, then push the needle down into hole 2. Continue following the numbers and arrows until you thread the hole with red 64. Then tie off and trim the floss. The right side of the accent leaves mirrors the other side, so use the same steps to embroider it. And here's my finished leaf embroidery card. Now let's do the snowflake. The snowflake card is very similar to the leaf with the base card, backer piece, and a snowflake embellishment. Grab your reference diagram and the embroidery floss you'd like to use. I'll use these 2 shades of blue. Prepare your needle with the light blue floss for the snowflake center. Align the holes on the embellishment with the holes on the main card piece. Hold the embellishment in place with one thumb while you use your other hand to hold the needle and floss. Thread the needle up through hole 1 until the knot is snug. Then go down into hole 2, which is the very center. Bring the needle back up through hole 3, then go back down through hole 4, which is the center again. Be gentle when threading the center hole over and over, as the crapboard may tear. Continue following the numbers and arrows until you get to the red 16, the center hole again. Push the needle down through the hole once more, and then tie off and trim the floss. Cut another piece of light blue floss for the middle. Prepare your needle like before, then start with hole 1. Continue embroidering until you push your needle down through the hole with the red 32 next to it on the diagram. Then tie off and trim the floss. And prepare your needle for the branches. On the diagram, you can see that the snowflake branches are embroidered in 8 identical sections. Follow the stitches in this section with the numbers first. Then rotate the card and repeat the same stitches with the next section. And so on, until all 8 branches are embroidered. Here is my finished snowflake embroidery. Step 4, cover the back of the embroidery. The fronts of my cards look lovely, but the insides are a different story. So fold the card on the crease line so the finished embroidered design is on the outside, and use a small scraper tool to crease the fold. Open the card back up to show the inside. Grab the rectangular cover piece and apply glue along the edges. Turn the rectangle glue side down and center it on the inside left of the card, over the back of the embroidery. Press and hold along the glued edges until they're fully dry. Step 5, show it off. Here are what my finished embroidered cards look like. You can make your own envelope to send your embroidered cards through the mail if you want. Follow my envelope tutorial over at jennifermaker.com/373 to make A2 sized envelopes to fit these cards perfectly.
Handmade home decor also makes a memorable gift, and this holiday signpost will brighten anyone's entryway. I think gifts that decorate a home carry a special kind of love. They remind people of you every time they walk by. And this one is all themed for Christmas, but there's also a winter one, which you hopefully can see over my shoulder here. And I also made one of my favorite cities. So you get to personalize this any way you want. Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It is a beautiful day to make some super cool directional signs. I'll show you how to prepare your sign so it not only looks great, but that it holds up to the elements too. Then we'll create customized arrows for people and places that may not be nearby, but are still close to our hearts. So pull up a chair here at my craft table and we'll get started. Aren't these great? I think they are such a cute way to create a nod to friends and family or to honor some of our favorite places. They could be real locations that you've been to, or cities where your family and friends live, or places from your favorite book or series, right? So many options, lots of fun that you could have with this. So let's talk supplies. First, you'll need 3 or 4 wooden arrows. Mine came from Dollar Tree, but you can probably find them at your local craft store or even online. You'll also need a stake to attach them to. But how will we get our arrows to attach to our stake? We're not going to use nails. We're not going to use screws either. You'll have to stick around to find out how we're going to do it. But I will say it's super easy. Now, if you're making your sign on a deadline, I recommend starting this project a few days in advance because there is a fair amount of prep work and drying time with the painting and the sealing. Now, when it comes time to painting, I'll be using chalk paint and applying it with foam brushes. What is chalk paint, you ask? Great question. So it's actually latex paint with chalk in it. Yes, really. Chalk paint gives a really soft, ultra matte finish, which is really pretty on indoor and outdoor decor projects like this one. I've got this pretty teal blue color to use under my winter snowflake decals, plus white for the stake itself. And I've got these other colors to use with the custom sign too. Since you'll probably want to display your sign outside, I'll show you how to seal it with polyacrylic top coat so it can stand up to the elements without chipping or peeling. Any finish works, but I like the matte finish because it keeps the look of the chalk paint. Now for your decals, you'll want to use some vinyl. I'll use silver shimmer permanent vinyl for the snowflakes and white permanent vinyl for the words, as well as all of these other colors for my custom sign later on. Now to cut the vinyl, I'll use my trusty Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine, but you can use any Cricut for this project. Any Cricut machine or cutting machine that works with SVG cut files or even DXF files will work for this project, including the little Cricut Joy. To apply the vinyl to the signs, you'll need some transfer tape. I'll use 2 different kinds, standard grip transfer tape, which works best with the glossy permanent vinyl, as well as strong grip transfer tape, which is made to work with heavier vinyl and textured vinyl like the glitter. But before we put anything on our arrows, we need to do some prep work using needle nose pliers and some 120 grit sandpaper. Why? I'll show you in just a few minutes. You'll need to gather up a few more things like a green standard grip machine mat, a brayer, a weeding tool, and a pair of scissors, and then you're good to go. So, are you ready to get started? I'll show you how to get the files and then we will make our own awesome sign.
Step 1. Get my custom family sign post designs. First, download my designs at jennifermaker.com/552. You can either download right from that link by saving the project or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for libraries in the red bar at the top, then click either get a password if you don't yet have one, or click enter the library. Search the page for design number 552 and click the link to download the designs. Inside the folder, there are 2 designs, a Christmassy Santa's Workshop theme and a winter fun theme with snowflakes. I'll show you how to make the winter fun sign in this video, and then later on, I'll show you how to create a personalized sign in Cricut Design Space. This project works best when made with a cutting machine, and I'm going to use a Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine in this video, but you can use any Cricut that works with Design Space. So an original Cricut Maker, a Cricut Explorer, any of the Cricut Explorer series, in fact, the Cricut Venture, or the Joy Extra, or even the original Joy. You can also use another cutting machine that works with SVGs or DXF files. Now, if you're not sure how to upload, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload SVG files. Step 2, prepare and paint your wood arrows and stake. Now, this part could get messy, so cover your work area with some scrap paper or butcher paper to protect it. If your signs have staples or hanging hardware like mine, use needle nose pliers to carefully remove them. If your arrows and stake have rough spots like these, lightly sand them with 120 grit sandpaper so the paint and sealant go on more smoothly. Then brush off the dust with a paper towel so everything is nice and clean and ready for paint. If you're using different arrows than these from my materials list, measure them before painting. I'll show you how later on when we create our custom sign. Place each arrow on a paper plate. Then grab your chalk paint and a foam brush. I'll use another paper plate as a palette. It makes for easy cleanup when you're all done. Use the foam brush to paint long strokes on the front of the arrow. The brush's tip works well for the edges. The back won't be visible, so don't worry about painting it. Paint your other arrows and set them on the plates so the first coats of paint can dry. You can lay the stake across a few paper plates and paint it on all sides. Leave the pieces to dry for 2 or 3 hours. Then add another coat to each one and let them dry for another few hours. Once the paint is fully dry to the touch, we're ready for the next step. For this part, you can go outside or open a window and turn on a fan to improve your ventilation. Now put on gloves and use a synthetic paintbrush to apply polyacrylic to all of the painted areas on your arrows and stake, and let it dry fully overnight. Step 3, prepare your design. While your paint or polyacrylic are drying, let's cut the vinyl designs. Here's how my sign collection looks like on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. Click on the minus sign to zoom out and see everything. I only want to use the winter snowflake version this time, so with everything selected, click the ungroup icon. Then delete the Santa's Workshop designs. The designs are already sized perfectly for the arrows from my materials list, so with the correct machine selected, click Make. Step 4, cut your designs. Make sure all of the elements are on the right color mats. You can click and drag the pieces apart to give them a little breathing room. This helps for easier transfers later. This looks great. So click back on the first mat and then click Continue. On the Make screen, click Browse All Materials. This is the mat with the words, so I'll find the Premium Vinyl Permanent Glossy setting and then click Done. Select More Pressure for cleaner cuts. Place the white permanent vinyl face up on a green standard grip machine mat. Use a brayer to smooth out any bubbles and adhere the vinyl evenly to the mat. Make sure your fine point blade is in the clamp, and then load your mat into your Cricut and begin cutting. When it's all finished, unload the mat, flip it over onto your work surface, and then gently roll the mat away from the vinyl. Continue cutting the second mat. For this mat, I'll use glitter vinyl, and for that, I want more pressure again. Place the vinyl on your mat and use your brayer again to adhere it well. This really makes a difference in cutting. Glitter vinyl is thicker and it can be finicky. So before you unload your mat, use your weeding tool to peel up a corner of the vinyl to check that your cuts went all the way through. If the cuts didn't go all the way through, leave the mat on the machine and then smooth the vinyl back down and press the button for another pass. When it's all finished, unload it and roll the mat away from the vinyl. Step 5, apply the vinyl to your signs. Use scissors to cut apart the words and the snowflakes for each arrow sign. Then pair them up using your Cricut Design Space screen for help if needed. We'll apply each snowflake separately to make sure the placement is perfect on each one. But don't cut up the carrier sheet just yet. Use a weeding tool to remove excess vinyl from around and within the letters and designs. Starting with the white vinyl words, cut a piece of standard grip transfer tape slightly larger than the text. Place the weeded text with the vinyl facing up. Remove the transfer tape backing and fold the edges up like a taco. Then lower the center of the transfer tape, that's the center of the bottom of the taco, right onto the vinyl and press in place. And then smooth from the center outward for the best transfer. Use a scraper to burnish the transfer tape to the vinyl. Then remove the vinyl's original backing. Center the vinyl sticky side down over the middle of the arrow. Refer to your template in Cricut Design Space as a guide if you need it. And use your fingers to press the vinyl onto the arrow. Burnish it with a scraper to adhere it really well to the wood. Now gently pull away the transfer tape. And look how cute it already looks. Now for the snowflakes. To get the snowflake placement perfect around the words, I found it was easiest to cut and apply the snowflakes one by one. Now, since the snowflakes are on thicker glitter vinyl, you'll want to cut a piece of strong grip transfer tape, not standard grip, but strong grip because of the glitter, and you'll want it to be slightly larger than the first snowflake. I'll start in the top left. Remove the transfer tape backing, then apply and burnish the transfer tape to the first snowflake. Peel the transfer tape away from the carrier sheet, transferring the vinyl with it. And refer to your screen for help placing your snowflakes on the arrow. Or you can use your own placement, of course. Use your fingers to press it down and then burnish it with your scraper. Pull away the transfer tape and you've applied your first snowflake. How sparkly! Continue on applying the rest of the snowflakes to the arrow. If your transfer tape loses its stickiness, just start with a fresh piece. Then apply the vinyl to your other two arrows. Don't these look adorable? We're almost finished too. Arrange the arrows on the wood stake where you'd like them to go. One by one, lift an arrow and use a pencil to make a small mark where it was. Now, that secret tool I mentioned, hook and loop tape. Like Velcro. So keeping the two sides stuck together, use your scissors to cut off 3 1-inch squares. Remove the adhesive backing from the hard side of the hook and loop tape and press it firmly onto the mark you made on the wood stake. Now remove the backing from the soft side of the hook and loop tape and firmly press the arrow's middle down onto it. Attach the other tape squares to the stake and arrows the same way. And you're all done. You can change the order around too. Isn't that fun? Personalize your directional sign. So what if you want to make a sign with your own locations on it? You can totally do that. First, let's measure the arrow so we can be sure to cut the vinyl designs the right size. Now, an arrow might look difficult to measure, but let's just pretend it's a rectangle attached to a triangle. First, let's measure the point of the arrow. Measure from the top tip to the bottom tip to get the point's height. Then from the arrow's point to where the triangle meets the rectangle for the width. Now, on an empty canvas in Cricut Design Space, click the Shapes icon and select the triangle. Click the Unlock icon above the Size menu. I'll enter 4.5 inches for the width and 2.75 inches for the height, and then press Enter. Hold on the Shift key on your keyboard and position your cursor over the corner of the triangle's bounding box until a curved arrow appears. Click and drag it clockwise to rotate the triangle 90 degrees. Now measure the width and height of the rectangle part of the arrow. Click the Shapes icon again and select a square. Open the Lock icon and enter your dimensions. I'll enter 9 1/4 for the width and 3 inches for the height, and then press Enter. Move the triangle to slightly overlap the right edge of the rectangle. Select both shapes and click Align, and then center vertically. Then click Combine and Unite. Now you've made an arrow the same size and shape as your wooden ones. With it still selected, click the Operation menu and select Guide. The arrow shape will turn into a red outline that won't be part of the final project. Now you have a custom template. With that out of the way, let's choose a typeface for our sign. Click the text icon and then the font menu. Click System and search for any font you'd like to use. I want to use a font that I've added called JM Suite, so I'll click System and search for it. The link is in the blog post for this project if you'd like to use it. If you need any help downloading and installing fonts to use in Cricut Design Space, check out my helpful tutorial at jennifermaker.com/fonts. And then click the X to close the font menu. Then double-click on the text box and type the location you'd like on the sign. I'll type Lansing, Michigan, because that's where my family is from. Click a blank space on the canvas to deselect the text, and then drag the text on top of the guide arrow. Drag a corner of the text bounding box to make it the right size for the arrow, and then move it to a good position. I think that looks good. Click on the color menu and select a color for the personalization. I'll change mine to white since it's going to go on a red arrow. With the text box still selected, click the duplicate icon above the Layers panel. I'll move the copy down below and edit this text for my next arrow. If your arrows will point different ways, it's nice to have a visual of how each one will look before you cut your vinyl. So select the guide and click the duplicate icon. Rotate your arrow the same way as earlier, but this time to 180 degrees. Zoom out if you need. There we go. For this one, I'll type Kyoto, Japan, which, fun fact, is a place I once called home because I lived in Japan for a couple of years. Then I'll change its color too, but this time I'll use black. I want to decorate 4 arrows, so I'll use the same steps to make 2 more. One for Anaheim, California in white, Disneyland, and another for Kona, Hawaii in orange, which was the site of our last epic vacation. When all your words are ready, make sure the right machine is selected and click Make It. Then cut the designs out of your preferred permanent vinyl and apply them to your signs just like we did earlier in this video. Step 6, show it off. And here are the finished results. Don't these look so awesome? I can't wait to put these out in my yard. And I really can't wait to see how yours turned out too. These are so much fun. And isn't the hook and loop tape just great? I love that hack. Sometimes you don't want to deal with a hammer and nails, right? But with the tape, it's easy peasy. Plus, you can then move the arrows around if you want. So, super cool. And you can stick your sign in your yard or your flower bed outside, in a large potted plant. I got these buckets from the home improvement store. I bought some trees. They were like Christmas trees, and then that's where these came from. So there's really a lot of options. You could fill your pot with sand or gravel and place it inside for an indoor display, outside if you want. It's entirely up to you. If your sign gets dirty, which it probably will if it's outside, you can just wipe it down with a damp rag. And then with the sealant on it, they should hold up really well to weather outside. But like any yard decor, I still recommend bringing it in if you're expecting some really severe weather. You don't want it to blow away after all. Of course, presentation matters too. These Gnome gift boxes are a delightful way to gift handmade presents. And they're just so cool. They open, right? So you can store things inside, but they also work as treat boxes. You could use these as a countdown calendar. They look wonderful on the mantle, as you can see over my shoulder, and they're just so cute. Step 1, get my free Gnome gift box designs. First, download my designs at jennifermaker.com/663. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 663 and click the link to download the designs. If you're not sure how to use these files, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to download and unzip files. There are 6 hat designs in the SVG file: a Christmas tree hat, a Santa belt hat, a hat with hearts, a snowflake hat, a hat with antlers, and a candy cane hat. In this video, I'll show you how to use a Cricut cutting machine to cut the pieces so they are precise. If you cut these by hand instead, skip to step number 3. Step 2, prepare and cut your Gnome gift box design. Let's start by adding the design to Cricut Design Space. Click the Upload button and then click Upload Image. Click Browse and find the Gnome Gift Boxes SVG file with no score in the name. I'll demonstrate with this version so anyone can make it. If you do have a scoring wheel or scoring stylus you want to use, you can use the version of the SVG file with score in the file name. Once you've selected the best design for you, click Upload and then select the new design under Recent Uploads and click Add to Canvas. Click the Ungroup icon to ungroup the design. I recommend always ungrouping a design after you upload it because it's usually grouped by default. The design includes a Christmas tree hat, a Santa hat with a cute belt buckle, a hat with hearts, a hat with snowflakes and one with antlers, and a hat with a pair of candy canes. There's also 4 light brown pieces at the bottom that will assemble to make one box. I want to make the Santa hat box, so I'll hold down my Shift key on my keyboard and select the other 5 designs in the Layers panel, and then click the Delete icon to remove them from the canvas. If you'd like to change the color of the pieces to match your cardstock, select the layer in the Layers panel and then use the color box at the top to adjust the colors. I want to cut my box base from red glitter cardstock, so I'll select those and change them to red. On the Santa hat design, you can either cut the white circle out of white cardstock and use it as the hat's pom-pom, or delete that layer and glue a real pom-pom in its place. I'll show you how it looks with both, so I'll click the undo arrow to keep it on the canvas. And that's it, we're ready to cut. Make sure the correct machine is selected in the top right and then click Make. On the Prepare screen, make sure the correct material size is selected for your materials. They're set to 12 by 12 inches by default, which works for my glitter and pattern sheets. Some of my materials, though, like my white shimmer cardstock and plain black cardstock, are 8.5 inches by 11 inches, so I'll be sure to change those mats to that size. So that one is all set. When you're finished setting the material sizes, click back on the first mat and then click Continue. On the Make screen, your mats will be in rainbow order. My first mat is white shimmer cardstock, so I'll click Browse All Materials to find the right material setting. I find that shimmer cardstock cuts well on the medium cardstock setting, so I'll search for medium cardstock. I'll select it and then click Done. Then I'll change the pressure to More for a cleaner cut. Place your first mat's material face up on a green standard grip machine mat. Use a brayer to make sure the cardstock is fully and evenly adhered to the mat. And check that your premium fine point blade is clean and in the correct clamp. Then press the flashing load button to load the prepared mat into your Cricut, and then press the flashing go button to begin cutting. When it's finished cutting, unload your mat, flip your mat over onto your work surface, and roll the mat back to release the material without curling or ripping. Now my next mat is my black mat with the Santa's hat band. I'll use regular 65-pound cardstock for this, which also uses the medium cardstock setting. So I'll click Browse All Materials and search for the medium cardstock setting, click Done, and then set the pressure to More again for the cleanest cut. The yellow mat is the belt buckle, and I want to use glitter cardstock for that. So let's adjust the material settings, click Browse All Materials, and this time search for the glitter cardstock setting. Select it and click Done. Then, just like the other mats, change the pressure to More for the cleanest cut. Looking ahead, there are red mats left which have the box and main hat pieces. I recommend using glitter cardstock for the box pieces because it's much sturdier than regular cardstock. So since the rest of my mats are glitter cardstock, I'll check the Remember Material Settings box to save time. Then load the mat and cut out your box pieces. As you remove the pieces, place them face up on your work surface to keep them organized. It's always a good idea to clean your blade after every glitter cardstock mat you cut because the glitter can stick to the blade. So poke your blade in and out of a balled up piece of aluminum foil or clean the blade with isopropyl alcohol and a soft cloth. Just be careful, the blade is sharp. Learn more about how I clean my blades at jennifermaker.com/blades. Here are what my cut Gnome triangle box pieces look like. Step 3. Assemble your Gnome gift box. First, grab the 4 box pieces and place them face down on your work surface. To make the box, there's a triangle with 3 tabs, plus a tiny extra tab on the tip of one, a triangle with 1 large rectangle flap, a rectangle with 3 tabs, and a rectangle with 2 tabs. Fold up along all of the crease lines on each of the 4 box pieces. Since I'm using glitter cardstock, most craft glue won't secure it easily because it's a textured surface. So instead, use hot glue. Plug in and turn on your hot glue gun and put on your silicone finger protectors. Grab the rectangle with the 2 tabs and apply hot glue along the outside of the shorter tab. Then grab the triangle piece with the large flap. With the triangle pointing up, attach the glued flap on the rectangle piece to the back left edge of the flap on the triangle piece. Try to get the edges as flush as possible. Hold until the glue dries. Then apply hot glue along the outside of the longer tab on the two-tabbed rectangular piece. Adhere the glued flap to the back of the triangular piece, keeping the edges flush, and hold until it dries. Now grab the other rectangular piece that has 3 tabs and apply glue to the outside of the longest tab. Adhere the glued tab to the long inside edge of the assembled triangle piece. Now apply glue to the outside of the second shortest tab on the rectangle piece. Press it into the short inside edge of the attached triangle piece. Lastly, on the rectangular piece with 3 tabs, apply glue along the outside of the shortest tab. Adhere the glued tab to the inside edge of the attached triangle piece and hold until the glue dries. When everything is dry, pinch the points from the outside to sharpen them. Now grab the last piece, the triangle-shaped piece with 3 long tabs and 1 tiny one. Apply a dab of glue to the outside of the tiny tab. Then attach it to the other side to form a connected point. Now apply hot glue to the inside of the next shortest tab. Press the glued tab to the outside of the assembled box on the shortest edge. Hold it in place until the glue dries. Once dry, you should have a triangle-shaped box with a hinged lid. After you fill the boxes with treats or small gifts, you can close them with non-permanent adhesive like glue dots so they can be displayed after being gifted. And if you're making them for decoration only, you can seal the lid with hot glue. Follow the same steps to assemble the rest of your gift boxes. Step 4. Decorate and assemble the gnome hat embellishment. You'll have a triangle-shaped hat piece, a belt strap, and a belt buckle. If you choose to cut the circle for the hat's pom-pom, you'll have that too. So apply craft glue to the back of the belt strap piece. And adhere the belt strap to the front of the hat piece, making sure the ends of the belt are flush with the edges of the hat. Now apply glue to the back of the belt buckle piece, then press to adhere the belt buckle to the middle of the belt strap. If you cut the cardstock circle for the top of the hat, apply craft glue to the tip of the hat and press the circle into place. But if you want to add a real pom-pom instead, put on hot glue finger protectors and plug your hot glue gun back in. Apply a generous dot of hot glue to the tip of the hat, and then place the pom-pom on the glue and hold it until the glue sets. Variation Christmas tree hat. If you made the Christmas tree hat, you'll have 4 triangle-shaped hat pieces. I used all glitter cardstock for mine. Put them in order from left to right, from most holes to least holes, with the layer with no holes at the end. You'll also have a star. Starting with the piece with the most holes, which is my green layer, turn it over and apply craft glue to the back. Be sure to glue between the holes so the layers stay together well. Turn it glue side down and adhere it to the front of the next piece with fewer holes. For me, that's my blue layer, and make sure the edges line up. Once those 2 layers are attached and the glue is dry, apply craft glue to the back of the lower layer. Adhere the layers to the front of the piece with the fewest holes. Mine's yellow. Again, make sure the edges line up. 1 more layer to go. Apply glue to the back of the 3 assembled layers and then adhere them to the front piece with no holes. To attach the star, apply craft glue to the tip of the tree and then press the star face up onto the glued tip. Hold it until the glue dries. Variation Heart's hat. Now I'll show you the heart's hat. Lay the 3 triangle-shaped hat pieces face up in order from left to right with most hearts to some hearts, then no hearts. You'll have a band piece and a heart piece too. I used a mix of plain 65-pound black cardstock, white shimmer cardstock, as well as glitter cardstock for this hat. Apply craft glue to the back of the piece with the most hearts, taking care to avoid the cutouts. Adhere it to the front of the piece with the next most hearts, making sure the edges line up. Once they're dry, apply glue to the back of the layers, then adhere them to the front of the piece without hearts, again making sure the edges line up. Without applying glue, position the band piece on the hat, making sure the ends of the band are flush with the edges of the hat. Grab the heart piece and slide it onto the left side of the band so the bottom's tip is behind the band, but most of the heart is hanging out, partially off the edge of the hat. Remove the band but keep the heart in place. Lift the heart up and apply glue to the hat underneath. Press the heart back down into the glue. Now apply glue to the back of the band piece, making sure the edges of the band are flush with the edges of the hat, and press it down to adhere it to the hat piece. Then let it sit until the glue dries. Variation Snowflake Hat. For the snowflake hat, you'll have the triangle-shaped hat piece and 6 snowflakes. I use glitter cardstock for the hat piece and white shimmer cardstock for the snowflakes. You can use the Cricut Design Space screen for reference or place them in a different formation. Apply craft glue to the back of each one and then press it down into the hat to adhere it. I put one on the top too, like a snowflake pom-pom. Let it sit until the glue dries. Variation Antlers Hat. If you made the antlers hat, you'll have just 2 pieces, a triangle-shaped piece with antlers and another triangle-shaped piece that goes on top. I use plain 65-pound brown cardstock for the antlers and this cute buffalo check pattern cardstock for the top piece. Apply craft glue to the back of the top triangle piece without antlers. Adhere the triangle to the front of the antler piece, being sure to line up the edges. Let it sit until the glue dries. Variation Candy Canes Hat. You'll have a triangle-shaped hat piece, a candy cane piece, and a bow tie piece. Position the bow tie piece on the bow tie-shaped area on the candy cane piece to make sure you have the orientation right. There is a right way. Apply craft glue to the back of the bow tie piece, and then adhere it to the bow tie-shaped area on the candy cane piece. And let it sit until the glue dries. Now apply a 1/8 inch foam square to either end of the bow tie shaped area on the back of the candy cane piece. You can use a weeding tool to help peel up the backing. Add the assembled candy cane piece to the center of the hat piece and gently press the bow tie to adhere the foam squares. Step 5. Decorate the gnome triangle box. No matter which design you use, place the assembled box in the center of your work surface, lid side up and closed. Orient it so the hinged end is closest to you and the point points away from you. Plug in your hot glue gun and put on your hot glue finger caps to protect your fingers. Apply a line of hot glue along the shortest edge on the top of the lid. Press the back straight edge of the beard into the hot glue. Hold it in place until the glue sets. Apply hot glue all over the top of the lid that isn't covered by the beard. Place a decorated hat piece onto the hot glue, making sure the tip and edges of the hat and the edges of the box are nice and flush. Press it in place until the glue sets. The hat will overlap the beard about 1/2 inch. Don't put glue on the beard though, so the hat can stand out from it. Now let's give our gnome a nose. Apply a generous amount of hot glue to one side of a nose piece. Press the nose firmly into place on the beard, centered along the bottom edge of the hat. Hold it in place until the glue sets. Step 6. Show it off. Here's what my finished gnome gift boxes look like. Now they're ready to display or fill with tiny treats for festive little gifts.
And finally, let's finish with a true showstopper. This Cardinal shadow box is a gift that can be cherished for years to come. Every project you make carries a bit of your heart, and that's the most beautiful gift of all. And this one really reflects that. I love cardinals. I cannot wait to see the cardinals on the farm this year, and this shadow box is so beautiful. Hello everyone, Jennifer Maker here. Today we're going to make a layered cardinal shadow box, just like this one. I adore cardinals. We have so many of them in our backyard, and their bright red feathers always cheer me up. And I also love that cardinals are meaningful to many people. You may have heard the phrase, cardinals appear when angels are near, yes? So while the origin isn't clear, I did some research and so many different cultures view birds as messengers. And the color red is associated with life and love for many people, myself included. I mean, it is my favorite color. So I think there are many reasons why cardinals remind us of loved ones. So I wanted to create an easy layered cardinal design that is perfect to display. So I'm going to show you a few ideas, including some special light up shadow box frames, just like this one, that you could make at home just using cardstock. So come on over to my craft table with me and I will show you how. Like most layered cardstock projects, the supplies for our cardinal are really pretty simple. Of course, you'll need some good quality cardstock in a variety of sizes and colors. I recommend the solid core 65-pound paper since you don't want to see the white edges in your design. And we'll use a variety of adhesives like these to create different levels of depth between the layers in our cardinal. You can experiment with different combinations, of course. I'll show you a special trick to make sure your layers are even for a really polished look. And I'll share how to get glue dots to stick to the cardstock, not to yourself. All right, so I used a Cricut Maker 3 to cut my layers, but you can use any Cricut cutting machine for this project. I've even included a cardinal sized just for the Cricut Joy. I'll show him to you at the end. We'll use several of our usual paper crafting tools as well. The brayer will be particularly useful. Now, if you want to display your cardinal in a purchased shadow box with glass, visit my tutorial for this project at jennifermaker.com/cardinalsvg for details on applying the vinyl decal to the front. So here's the decal. I know it's hard to see, but it's really easy though, and you'll just need some vinyl, some transfer tape, a way to clean the glass, and a weeding tool. And remember how I mentioned a DIY box frame? I'm actually sharing two versions. One that uses the scoring tool to create the frame's creases, while the other uses the normal fine point blade. I'll show you how to make both versions and then we'll compare the results. They seem very similar, but there's a reason you might like one approach more than the other. I think the experiment will really light up your day. All right, so are you ready to make a beautiful layered cardinal design? Let's get started.
Step 1. Get my free Cardinal SVG files. Go to jennifermaker.com/401 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. And then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for design number 401 and then click it to download the zip file with SVG files for cutting on a Cricut or another cutting machine, DXF files, and printable PDFs for cutting by hand. I'm going to show you how to cut the SVG designs on a Cricut cutting machine because it's so awesome and precise, which is perfect for this project. In the SVG folder, you'll see 4 files. One is just a cardinal, which is sized to cut easily on a Joy. He is so cute, and I'll show you him at the end. The file with the cardinal and forest layers is the main design, which I'll show you how to make today. The layer design fits in a 10-inch square shadow box, but you can also make your own shadow box. I've included 2 DIY shadow box frames, one that uses dashed cut lines for the creases, and another that uses a scoring tool. We'll make both and compare the results. Next, upload the layered Cardinal SVG file to Cricut Design Space. If you'd like to make one of the frames, upload that file as well. If you're unsure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload SVG files. We'll start with the cardinal, so add that file to your canvas for now. Step 2, prepare your design files. Here's how my layered cardinal design looks on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. If you need to, zoom out to see all of the design by clicking on the minus sign at the lower left, or you can just press Command or Control-0 on your keyboard to see the whole thing. If you're going to add your cardinal to a store-bought shadow box frame with glass, you are all set to cut and can click Make It. I've included written instructions for making that version over at jennifermaker.com/cardinalsvg. I'm going to make my own frame from cardstock, so I won't have a spot for the angel quote. I'll remove that layer by clicking on it on the Layers panel and clicking Delete at the top. Now, I don't recommend resizing the design if you're going to follow along with me, so that's all we need to do to the cardinal. Let's hide the cardinal for now while we get our frame set up. To do that, click on the eye icon next to Group in the Layers panel. Now let's take a look at the shadow box frames. I've uploaded both so you can see what they look like in Cricut Design Space. I made 2 versions of the frame because the different tools create very different results. Wait until you see the difference. On the left is the version that doesn't use a scoring tool. You can see the little dashed cut lines that will crease later on. This one doesn't need any changes, so you're good to go. On the right is the scoring tool version. For this one, we need to adjust a few lines. Select the design and click Ungroup so we can work with them. In the Layers panel, notice that there are 2 layers that are just lines. These are your score lines. Hold your Shift key down and select both layers. Now click the drop-down menu under Operation at the top and select Score. Now the Cricut knows that we don't want to cut those lines and will prompt us to use a scoring tool instead. Awesome, right? There's one more step though. To make sure the score lines stay in the right spots and actually score on your paper, you need to select the words above them in the panel and click Attach at the bottom. And that's all there is to setting and attaching your score lines. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to assemble the cardinal with the no scoreline version of the frame, so I'm just going to delete that scoreline version for now, but I wanted you to see how to attach the score lines. All right, so make sure to unhide the cardinal, and now we have the cardinal and our shadow box frame, and we're all set. Make sure you have your right machine selected and click Make It. Step 3, cut your layered cardinal. If you're prompted, click on Mat, and you want to use 12-inch by 12-inch, and then click Continue. Now your mats may look different depending on which variation you're making. Don't worry about that. If you're using a different size paper for any of the colors, adjust the material size under the first mat that uses it. I'm using 8.5 by 11 paper for the red layers, so I'll change those. Check your white mats to see where the little circle for the cardinal's eye will cut out, and make sure you don't lose it. And then click Continue. For the majority of my mats, I use the medium cardstock setting with more pressure. But the very detailed cardinal layers cut better using cardstock for intricate cuts. To find that setting when you get to those mats, click on Browse All Materials and type Intricate in the search bar. Then select the result and click Done. And leave the pressure set at default. If you're having trouble removing the intricate layers from your mat after you cut them, try cutting them using a blue light grip mat instead of the green standard grip mat. If you're making the dashed cut line cardstock frame, it just uses the fine point blade. If you're making the scored version of the cardstock frame, follow the prompts to change your tools as needed. Now place your first mat's material on your machine mat and use a brayer to make sure it's fully adhered. Then load the mat into your machine and press the flashing button to begin cutting. When the cut is finished, unload the mat, flip it over onto your work surface, and roll it gently back to release the cardstock. This will prevent curling and ripping. Repeat the same steps for the rest of the mats. If you have trouble removing delicate pieces, try using your spatula. Step 4. Assemble your cardinal and background layers. Here's what all of the cut pieces for the cardinal and background look like. We'll assemble the background first, so set the bird pieces aside for now. Grab your adhesives and let's start layering. Start with your birch tree layer. It's hard to tell the front from the back, okay? But remember that the very straight tree will be on the right side. So place it face down, just as I'm doing right here. We'll add the medium or 3/8 of an inch dots starting in the corners. Now, these dots are super sticky, which is great for adhering cardstock, but they will stick to everything else, including your fingers. So here's that tip that I mentioned earlier. Cut a few off the roll at a time and separate them from each other. Then place one where you want it and lightly press on the backing paper to keep glue from sticking to your fingers or anything else. Other than the cardstock, of course. We want it to stick to that. Then peel off the backing and you're all set. I added dots to the corners, the middles of the sides, and the trees. Next, flip the layer over and hold it above the plain square layer. Line up the edges carefully and lay it down gently. Is it not quite right? Don't worry. Don't stress about this. Just carefully pick it up and try again. And once everything looks right, press it down. Next, we'll add the pine needle layer. This one takes planning, so line up the needle on top of the trees. See where the needles touch the trees? That's where we'll add pieces of foam tape. You can make small marks on the back with pencil in detailed spots. Place the layer face down. Cut several small pieces of the wider double-sided adhesive tape. One by one, remove the backing tape and stick them to the back of the needle layer. In addition to the needle areas, I added pieces to the corners and sides again. Remove the remaining backing from the adhesive strips, or just a few if you're having trouble lining things up, and then flip the cardstock over, line it up on your assembled layers, and press in place. Now grab your last background layer, the branches, and add small strips of double-sided adhesive foam tape to the back. Make sure they won't show on the front when you do this. Remove the backing and press it on top of the needles. Our background is done. Set your background layers aside to assemble the Cardinal. We'll use the smaller glue dots and craft glue since these layers are more intricate. Place the black layer face down and position the beak and white eye circle correctly. See where they overlap? Add a dab of glue to stick them together there. Then add just a bit of glue to the black outline where these pieces touch and put them back in place. Wipe away any excess glue since it will dry shiny and we don't really want that because it'll be distracting, right? If possible, of course. But if you can dry it while it's wet, it'll look better. Place the top layer with the most cutouts face down and add small glue dots. Space them out evenly. Flip the layer over and align it over the middle Cardinal layer. Press it down when it looks right. Add glue dots to the back of the middle layer and adhere it to the bottom layer without cutouts. The dots are definitely too big for the delicate outline, so we're going to use glue. Carefully flip the outline over and line it up on the top bird layer, focusing on the upper area. Once that part is attached, gently lift the black tail section. It's thin enough that it will bend easily, but don't let it crease. Attaching the Cardinal to the background takes a little engineering since the layers aren't all the same height. So place the Cardinal on the background so he's sitting on the branch. Note where you'll need adhesives to keep him in place. I decided to add them under his head, his body, the lower wings, and the tail. You can make light pencil marks on the background in these spots if you'd like. To even out the different heights, we'll stack up our double-sided adhesive foam tape. You can use either width, but I chose the thinner one. I stacked one layer of tape for how deep in the background I needed to bridge. For example, if it's 2 layers back, stack 2 layers of tape. So to attach the lower wings to the branch layer, I used just 1 layer. But to reach the trees under the bird's body, I stacked 3 layers. You see? Once all the tape is in place, remove the final backing papers. Position the Cardinal on top and press him down gently so he's flat. Step 5. Assemble your cardstock shadow box frame. Assembling the cardstock shadow box frame is the same whether you made the version with the score tool or the dash cut lines. First, make sure your work surface is clean so those shadow box frames don't get dirty. Laying down some butcher paper can help. The front of the frames are the surfaces that were face up during cutting. Place them face down on your work surface and fold up along the score or cut lines. You can run your scraper over the creases if you'd like. And if you're having any trouble getting a straight crease, hold a ruler on the line while you fold it along it. Remember to crease the little lines at the corners too. Do you see where the small tabs overlap with a nearby edge? Place a bit of glue there and hold them in place to set. Keep going to make the corners on both pieces. Once the glue is dry, make sure your front frame piece with the cutout slides easily onto the back. Your frame is now ready. Now before you stick the Cardinal inside, maybe he'd like some light, maybe even some fairy lights. Let me show you how to add them to the dashed cut line frame. First, make sure the lights work by removing the battery protector tab if there is one and turning them on and off. No fun putting in lights that don't work, right? Now grab your medium glue dots, which is my favorite way to adhere fairy lights, by the way, and place the frames back face up and position the battery pack outside of it by a bottom corner. Stick a glue dot into that corner. That's where we'll start adding our lights. Carefully press the wire into the glue dot. Now place glue dots every 2 to 3 inches in the crease along the edge and press the wire sections into them. And now we can add our layers. Make 9 1-inch triple stacks of the medium foam tape. These will hold the Cardinal layers closer to the front of the frame and make space for the lights. Stick them evenly around the edges, making sure they don't block any lights. Add one to the middle so the center doesn't sag. Remove the paper from the top of the stacks and place your assembled layers on top. Slide the frame's front over the top, making sure you don't dislodge the wire where it runs to the back. Sneak a few glue dots between the layers around the outside edges. Now the front of the frame won't fall off once you hang it up. Place one more glue dot on the back of the battery pack. Making sure you'll still be able to access the switch, position the pack on the side or the back of the frame and press it in place.
So can you see the difference between the two frame versions? The one that we made with score lines contains the light, creating a softer glow. Since the dashed cut lines create small holes near the fairy lights, some of the brightness leaks through the creases. I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. It's really your personal preference, but keep these results in mind when you're deciding which version to make. The frame that lets out more brightness could make a really cool nightlight. And you don't have to make your Cardinal just like mine, of course. Here is another version where I glued a little bit of glitter to some of the layers to look like snow. You can get as creative as you like. Have fun, the sky's the limit, literally, for Cardinals. All right, and I knew some of our Cricut Joy crafters would be excited for this project, so here is a perfectly sized version that I made just for you. This little guy cuts out on a normal Cricut Joy mat and then goes together just like the larger version. His layers are just a little bit more delicate, so take your time removing everything from the machine mat and place your adhesives carefully. He'll make an adorable ornament. Just put a loop of string right here in the back or carefully feed it around a glue dot between the layers. Isn't he precious? And remember, if you want to make your Cardinal to display in a purchase shadow box like this one, you can find the instructions over at jennifermaker.com/cardinalsvg. I show you exactly how to cut out the decal and place it right on the glass. It's simple, I promise. Well, this was so much fun, from ornaments and tags to gift bags and shadow boxes. We have made so many special projects together today. And I have so many more new giftable projects to share during this year's Merry Maker Mingle, and I hope you'll join me. Come get on the free gift list at merrymakermingle.com, and then let me know in the comments if you plan to join us, because I love hearing from you, So let me know. And by the way, for those of you playing along in my Merry Maker Mingle gift away game, I have a bonus word for you. The word is cocoa. C-O-C-O-A. Now, we don't know what this is. Be sure to get on the gift list for Merry Maker Mingle and it will all be explained. And the best part about all of this is not just what we create, but the love and care we put into every piece. When you make something with your own two hands, it's more than just a gift. It's a memory, a little piece of yourself that you're sharing with someone you care about. I hope this crafting marathon gave you fresh ideas, inspiration, and maybe even the motivation to try something new this season. And remember, 3 of the projects that we crafted together today are new videos to the channel. This is just my way of saying thank you for being here and crafting with me. And by the way, if you enjoyed this, there's another one coming out in a week on entirely different projects. I can't wait to share that with you. Now, if you make any of these projects, be sure to let me know. You can share your photos in my group at jennifermaker.com/cricketcrafters or tag me on social media so I can cheer you on. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.